up, y'all, and welcome to this episode of Skeptic and Ranting. I believe this theory is evil.
Hey, only 17 minutes of Amy time tonight. We're doing good. We're off to a good start already. We are on the right track.
Woo! But, which basically means we're on time, I think.
Gizmo's got us on time. Yeah.
It's called.
His meows keep time. Like you remember on Ben-Hur, the rowing scene where the guy is pounding on the drums to the rhythm that they row the boats. It's kind of like Gizmo's meowing, yeah, just to keep us at pace. Yeah.
Meow, meow, meow. I think, basically.
Yeah.
We are watching a video from the channel Off the Curb Ministries, not Off the Curb mini-series, which would be a completely different channel, but Off the Curb Ministries, called I Know You Think I'm Wrong, but I Believe This Theory is Evil. Which makes for a much longer title.
God equals the square root of -1, huh? Seems to think the channel is clothing optional. Now, we've never had Gavin on the channel or Iron Horse, but they do. They do mention it from time to time.
Exist on this channel because they are under my desk at all times. It's the only way to get down there is to be on what we call the pantsless apologist list. Specifically, you have to defend God while not having pants. It's a select list.
I'd like to hear from them, but they're going to have trouble saying very much.
Yes. Well, they have their mouths full and lots to do down there. But I just want to also point out, it just seems a little passive-aggressive for the title to be, I know you think I'm wrong, but I believe this theory is evil.
Yeah, kind of.
A little bit. But hey, who's judging? Anyway, that's why ranting is in the title, ladies and gentlemen. Join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for a good time that's, oh my goodness, James, this is a totally new concept. Irreducibly flat.
Brand new.
That's right. Thank you all for joining us out there on the interwebs. Please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. I said it. I said
in that order.
Thank you to. Please let them go. Exactly. In that order. Anyway, and Sunny, share, all the other good things, especially if you're having a debate about this specific topic. I didn't think Beatles would be a relevant topic to God, but
you would be wrong. But that's because you haven't watched Ken Hovind's DVD series from the mid-90s.
DVD number 5.
If you'd watched all those, like unfortunately I have, then you would have heard about this. Yeah.
It just always seems very random. Also, I have noticed that every time that I have ever learned a new thing that they have about a pet peeve that they have, and then like genetic entropy, all these other, all these nonsense things, when you ever look into them, most of the things end up being more evidence for evolution. Like when you look at this beetle, the two methodologies are, one, it came about from a slow, gradual separation of organs from an organ system, or, and I think this is the clinical term, poof. Now, once again, both of these models, very rigorous, but...
Well, I mean, like, look, the biologists, they're going over these animals, and all of a sudden it seems to work for all of them. And then they get to this one, and they're like their head starts spinning, smoke comes out of their ears, and they're like, well, I don't know about you, but we're going to go with the talking snake on this one. No, all this evolution, forget about it. That book that talks about the magical talking snake with legs, that's right. We got to go with the snake.
Yeah. And every time we bring up this sort of thing, the apologetic we get is, well, don't you believe in miracles?
Send in the snakes, yeah. Send in.
Because I asked, well, have you ever seen a snake, come up and speak to you? And once again, if the answer is yes, the hallucinogens are fantastic.
Kenny, you was talking about that the other day. Like, well, of course it was magic. Of course, God can do Wait, so God would invoke magic to trick Adam and Eve. So he specially did this, allowed this snake to talk, and just to fool them, right? And because he made them so ignorant, so that they didn't see a problem with a snake coming up to them and start talking to them, because they just didn't know anything about anything. So, hey, they didn't know. They were
what's toddlers. The one thing I could have really used if I'm trying to make a decision, especially whether something is good or evil?
What's that?
This will sound crazy, but it might be knowledge of good and evil.
Oh,
crazy that there was a vending machine of that right there.
You're talking about the fact, that God made them without a moral compass intentionally, so that they would have no concept of right or wrong, good or evil. It would be like a foreign concept. They wouldn't know anything about it, right? And
told them the one thing they can't do is.
And then God's punishing them for doing something that was morally wrong. I get you have a problem with that, Mr. Atheist or Mrs. Atheist. Yeah.
Yeah, slightly. I think that he's a bad father, and that he would get Child Protective Services probably called on them.
You mean like your toddler doesn't understand why it's bad to play with matches and gasoline, so probably not a good idea to leave a can of gas and matches around your 3 or 4 year old, because they might just burn the house down, right? Yeah.
Yes, and if you see them pick up a match, you then decide, well, I understand how to reprimand this child. I will throw them out of the house.
Permanently, yeah. Yeah, they didn't know any better, so, I mean, yeah.
And their children's children and their children's 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 children.
Well, naturally,
welcome to Christianity.
Yeah. But we killed this really nice guy. He was a great guy. He did miracles, he did lots of nice things, and we killed him. And so
there are so many weird things about the Jesus story. The more that I investigate it, I will continue to say that he did not think that his mother was a virgin that was created in the 2nd century after he had already died. He most likely didn't think that he was a god. He was coming from a Jewish tradition where that would have been extremely it wasn't not only was it not the tradition, but it seems to have been created by John. The first 3 Gospels seem to conveniently leave that out, and
it leads up to it. It's building up to the climax in John, where if he fully reveals himself to be God. But it's a concept like that, Amy. It's you can't just throw it out there. You've got to kind of build a foundation and work your way up to it, because otherwise it would just seem so crazy that what, this guy is a god. But you got to give him a backstory first. Give him,
James, that's how they Xena you to begin with. Also, coming to number 3 is him being perfect. Isn't that kind of a narcissistic thing? If you were to ask Jesus, you have been perfect your entire life, you have never made a mistake or done something wrong to another human,
Never.
I feel like that person is actually lying to you.
Well, I mean, unless he was God, and God can't sin. So there you go. There you go.
Exactly.
It's circular, but at least it makes a nice circle, right?
Exactly.
And so Kathy, yeah, probably most Christians do take a metaphorical approach to Genesis. Obviously, we're talking specifically the ones who don't take a metaphorical approach to Genesis, who do believe that the snake was a literal talking snake with legs. But
picky.
For those who do take a metaphorical approach, it's maybe not directly as absurd, but it's pretty much about as absurd in the long run. You know, punishing all of humanity for one misdeed or whatever. Yes, Gizmo never does anything wrong.
Gizmo is the producer here and also sends love to all of the other cats and puppies, iguanas, whatever you have. Oh, I forgot also. Speaking of which, because we were allowed, the TOS has allowed our families to live, we can say that you should also hit that bell icon, and it allows you to see our premieres or join our live streams. And so we can say hello, like, what is up, everyone? What is up, Ian? What is up, God Equals? What is up, Sinister Porpoise? What is up, Kathy? What is up, Dale? What is up, Victoria? What is up, Spooky? We are a Christian channel. Very specifically, we're selling Bibles for 6666. Wait, no. As many sixes as you'd like to fill in. I told James, even though because we don't normally do politics, all right? But this is the one time, and I finally found the 3-minute infomercial where the former orange one, well, he's not former. I tried to make I switched two things together because my brain didn't want to call him president. And yet when I take an epilepsy test, that and is the cognitive test, basically, when you come back, they make you do that same one, which is the one that he consistently tries to say that he aced. James, I aced it too, because they would not let me out if I did not.
Really? Well, Dale, I got to tell you, the Catholics have an answer for that. So the Catholics believe that Mary was assumed up into heaven at some point. That's why you never hear from her again. She was body and soul just poofed up to heaven because she had no other purpose to be on earth. She was created perfect. She had no sin. She had no real point to be here. So she was just taken up body and soul.
I.e., the authors were like, "Yeah, we're done with this character. Can we just like whoosh?"
I don't think well, I take the mythicist view. I don't really think there ever was a Jesus, but yeah.
And there were many people, there were many rabbis at the time.
I don't think the character depicted in the Gospels existed specifically.
That definitely.
I don't think that person didn't exist. Could there have been roaming, traveling preachers, cult leaders that were all over the place at that time, apocalyptic leaders, named Jesus, who may have said a few things similar to that, and they just embellished the rest of it? Sure,
and
maybe.
there were
that
also
Jesus from the Bible.
A number of things that kind of evolved, because there may have been a bunch of roaming rabbis, and then there were two transitions, and that was, well, one, the term Messiah from political to religious, because Messiah really was them trying to take back Jerusalem. I've been looking into the Second Temple. What a weird subject to be looking into. And yet...
Or on Ruby Ridge, God equals square. He might have died at Ruby Ridge, too.
Ruby Ridge? That sounds like a Western. Jesus, come fight me at Ruby Ridge.
It was a debacle. Was that the early 90s or the late 80s? It had to do with the ATF trying to serve an arrest warrant in, was it rural Montana, or the Dakotas, maybe? I haven't read up on it in years, but shit went south, and yeah.
Always does, unfortunately. Didn't Mary show up in the Da Vinci Code after crucifixion? What's up, James Wolfe?
Yeah.
I've never actually watched the Da Vinci Code. Is that any good? Or is
The first
book
one
any good? Either one.
I saw the first one. It was all right. Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't. Was that like 2002, 2003? Oh, Idaho. Yeah, there you go. Ruby Ridge was in Idaho.
And then so not only was there this transition,
Randy Weaver, exactly. Yes,
no,
thank
not that kind of transition, but to a from political to religious. But after he died, like shit just seemed to go south for this whole notion of the traditional Messiah, and they're like, we're gonna have to like retcon. We're gonna have to come up with something new. And so when they did this whole he came back to life, now they started to.
Then some people say, well, maybe he was made up by the Roman army or the Roman government to, to divide the Jews, to divide Judaism, the schism.
Well, let me tell you. Do you know who didn't like the Jews at the time?
Who?
Let me tell you, it was the Romans. Yeah. They were having some wars. That's what
I don't think he existed, but I don't think the Romans made him up. I think he was just the creation of some very creative, very good authors who wrote some very compelling stories. They knew as we talked about last time, they had access to the Septuagint, and they did some pretty unique, inventive ways, kind of tried to tie him in, this character they were making, into the Old Testament, to kind of make it look organic. But I just don't think he ever really was real.
And none of the miracles, well, not only did none of the miracles ever happen, but I'll keep on saying it, prophets don't exist. Not only do prophets not exist, but the apologetic I now get is, well, don't you think teachers exist? And I hate that. I hate the one-on-one word comparisons, because that means that they're trying to obfuscate. They're trying to, which is a fancy word for trying to muddy things up. Yes, teachers exist. I mean prophets, people that speak to a God. People know what I mean when I talk about prophet, and they still
get divine information, divine teachings, knowledge that humanity would have no otherwise access to or way of obtaining.
Middlemen for God. Let's keep on using that. For some reason, there's a guy, almost always a guy. I'm sure there are some girls out there, but generally a guy who comes along and says, look. God's out there. He's all knowing. He's all powerful. He can talk to all of us. But you know what he really does? He talks to me. And so if you really want to get in on it, you got to be in with me. All right, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I think too, Dale. I like Dr. Carrier's debates. I think he knows his stuff. I think, if anybody is on the right path, that's who I would. Yeah, that's who I would go with.
You should check out Richard Carrier's stuff, and that's right. Welcome.
He's been on MDD before. He's
Go check out T-Jump. He was just on MDD doing a religious debate and sending love to everybody. Trying to think of other things I want to say. Sending love to Jimmy. He sent out a note from the line. He said that there was some sort of medical thing. He didn't actually go into details, and so I have no details to give other than I'm going to send Jimmy lots of love. Best wishes. Exactly. Trying to think
as an atheist, what do you do? Because what do you say? Because the Christians like to say they'll pray for you, which they view as doing something. We don't believe that there's anything
I can tell you do. Though, my hope in what I think is seeing his content and knowing him as a skeptic is that I trust that he is getting the best scientific medical opportunities, hopefully by possible, because I know our country, especially we talk about this sometimes. Insurance is unfortunately a terrible thing in the United States, where I think a bunch of other countries must look at us and they go,
I'm sure they do.
Oh yeah, no. You guys give the American exceptionalism, and then people die of cancer with $1 million hospital bills. Do.
Yeah.
Still love this country. Just maybe we need to. What was I talking about, Jimmy? Yes, sending love to him. We have scientific. I hope that we put our trust in things that hopefully have results. I know that there's people like Dave from Dying Out Loud who has ASL, who it will eventually take his life. However, I know that it's not hopes and prayers that are making his life at least more comfortable, or at least working towards a cure. It's science.
No, I haven't seen Pine Creek's Flying Man. Have you seen that, Amy?
Yes. I'm trying to remember what the context of his Flying Man. Yes, the Flying Man is a thought experiment, and please help me get this if I'm saying it wrong. But there is a man. You need to believe me, because he just jumped off some sort of cliff and he can fly. I might be getting the example, and what would it take for you to believe me? And generally he's asked questions like, you've had 500 eyewitnesses, they were willing to go to their death, these sort of attributes, because then you say, well, I've had 500 witnesses that saw the Flying Man, so this is great, you can start to believe me. Oh, didn't you know it? There were 10 apostles that were actually willing to see the Flying Man to his death, to attest of the miracle. It's another way of, I guess, Socratically trying to get at prophethood and miracles. He has another one, which is the poof or drown, which I'm also a fan of, which is just very simply trying to take a hit at Noah, which is, if you had access to God, he came to you and said, you are my best disciple. I need you to make a decision. We're going to kill everyone again. Ta-da! However, you get two choices. You get to either drown everyone, classic model, or you can have them poofed out of existence.
Nobody
now, both
gets
of these
poofed.
Yeah, well, no, and if you select poof, it really does say that, hey, maybe he was making the wrong decision in the first place. Now, to address the elephant, I will also say, because I'm using two Pine Creek examples, I'm trying to get him to still join.
Amy, he's going to have billions of people tortured forever. You think he cares about giving them a nice, pleasant way to die? He doesn't care about that. Hey, if a little bit more stress, anxiety, fear, pain at the very end, hey, it just get warmed up for being burned to death forever, being tortured forever.
Well,
yeah, it's just a little preview of what they've got in store for them. Because that woman took that fruit from the wrong tree, so because of that, legally, I get to torture him forever. And
it does baffle me that the entire religion is based off that one story. Because
brings in original sin. Well, that's the Christians have the fundamentalists, because then they say, well, if that's all metaphorical, then where does original sin come in? There's got to be some way of corrupting it, and so what the Catholics would say, well, we don't exactly know how it happened. That's just a metaphor for telling us that something went wrong. There was some type of break in the relationship between man and God, and that was the easiest way that he could explain it to us, even if it's not, factual.
But also, I want to say one last thing. Just because I brought someone asked Pine Creek and I gave 2 of his examples, I'm going to keep on saying it, and I don't mean to get political off my cuff, but I know that people have a problem with his views sometimes, and he's fluctuated, and I'm going to fluctuate him all the way over, baby.
Has he came a little bit closer to the middle ground?
Maybe. But I would say that hopefully he continues to do so into the future. I've been watching most of his. He still goes. I always find it, this word woke has become just. He focuses sometimes on that, and that's, I guess, whatever. Even though I think that it's become such a comical version because it meant just being aware to things, yes, a little bit blue-haired, which is social justice, and then it became, I guess, colloquially known on the right to mean you're getting people who just want to cancel you. But then, I don't know, there were people on the right that became very cancel-y, especially depending on the groups.
Both sides do that.
Like. Oh, sure. Well, I will continue to say that, I view myself in a weird, somewhere between a liberal and a centrist, because depending on whether I'm talking American or worldwide, and, I just want to win him over to, if he's free speech, then we want to live, let live. Most of our battles are LGBTQ battles, which Soros said that I have to at least bring it up. We haven't really brought it up. Have already been won, and so the reactionaries are just freaking out, or they're trying to use these issues because they don't have anything left. And so,
look, within a few years, we'll all have. Well, depending on your gender, if you now identify as a man, you'll get your estrogen pump that'll pump the estrogen. If you identify as a woman, you'll probably get testosterone pumped into you, and
very specifically, that's our whole goal. Is just every human, we just want to pump the opposite chemical. Why? Because we think it's funny.
Satan loves it. He loves it.
Loves it.
Loves it. He can't get enough of it. He laughs his ass off when he sees it.
Exactly. Just like he does that in between planting fossils. He plants fossils, then tries to plant the home.
Convince guys they're girls. Convince girls they're guys. He's a busy dude.
I will say, guy works round the clock, puts in overtime. Probably has a coffee mug. Says, world's best fallen angel or something.
Yeah, the Garden of Eden doesn't make sense as a worldly place. Okay, so where's the Garden of Eden today? Well, it's not here anymore. Okay, why isn't it here anymore? Well, because God took it away because we can't go there anymore. Okay, then why did he need to put an angel with a flaming sword there to keep Adam and Eve from getting into it? If he was just going to take it away anyway, why the angel with the fire sword, the lightsaber from 600 BC lightsaber angel? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense.
He was the accuser, the guy that was the right-hand man of God.
He was on the payroll at first. It's almost like God's cop going out watching people, seeing what they're doing, making a naughty list, reporting to God. Oh, yeah, look what this guy did. Oh, yeah. Yeah, look at this guy. Look.
They ruined Job's life.
Yeah. For fun.
Just so
they'll keep worshiping me totally. He will totally keep worshiping me. He will keep blowing me no matter what you do to him.
Like low key, that's gambling, right? What they did there was
basically.
Bet. Like if they both could have put down rounds, that's the only thing missing.
I mean, of course, they would say, well, God, because at the time wasn't omnipotent, didn't have an infinite knowledge at the time. That wasn't into the ethos yet. Because why would he make a bet if he already knew the outcome? Or why would you bet against him if you already know he knows the outcome,
Well,
right?
that's what I was going to bring up.
He wasn't
next.
omnipotent at the time, yeah.
He wasn't?
No, he was not omnipotent at the time.
How did he need omnipotence?
When they said the other gods aren't even real, they don't exist. When they switched from mono or polytheism to monotheism, then they said they're not even like real. Not just Yahweh's the best. He's more powerful than them. He's their daddy. They're not even like real. They don't even exist. It's just Yahweh.
Yahweh or the highway. Yeah. So we got an upgrade. It's just amazing. But it is, Judaism is the link between polytheism and monotheism. Is it?
And then Christians, they take it one half a step back to polytheism with their Trinity. So,
Well, that's what the Muslims and the pagans.
Even most Christians will say they're not necessarily strict monotheists. They'll say it's monotheism, but maybe not strict monotheism. A version of monotheism. There's
I'm generally straight, but there's some people
like you would say straight but flexible.
That's right. Sometimes we can bend a little.
They reach down there just because they find that doesn't mean the party's got to be over.
Sometimes that just means the party's begun. Pop until the fun don't stop. Podcast sponsored by Pringles. Anyway, speaking of shilling, there are many ways that you can support the channel. You can send in super chats. You can send in super thanks in the future. Ooh. Also, I'll dance around with super thanks. We'll interact and all sorts of fun stuff. I'm going to cough again. Thank you for that. I probably should have just not even muted. Sending so much love to all of our channel members with our evolving badge system. It triggers creationists because, well, things can't evolve. Speaking of tonight's episode. Ooh. And they say we worship time, but no, that's not really a thing. We don't worship anything unless you're on your knees for your partner. Then that's okay. But any other type of worshiping gets a little bit creepy. Yes. What were we talking about? Shilling McShillerson. You can also find our Discord linked with our channel members in the description below, along with our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. Holy moly. There it is in wonderful URL form. Gonna cough again.
Shoulder cat.
Ooh, that's okay. Sponsored by Sugarware. Exactly. Electrolytes. It's got what plants crave.
President Camacho, come save us.
Let me tell you, James. I was worried about when I watched that documentary. Very worried. But, we just gotta lean into it sometimes. Anyway, sending so much love to our supporters, those like Azo at the Skeptic Ranting community. Sending so much love to davegar, reminding us that we have a round earth. If you have to argue this, you're probably religious. Conspiracy theory and religion love each other. They both think that they're the authority on things. That's the link that I have found, James. Like their epistemology, where they get their knowledge is always, would you allow, you're getting that from someone else? You're trusting someone that isn't you? The ultimate arbiter of knowledge? Yes.
Who's that?
We're
Yeah,
going
that's
to
like John
experts.
Maddox. Like, so have you looked into this all this biology? Like no, I haven't spent 6 months to look into every aspect of evolutionary biology. That's not my job. If I were to do that, could I learn a lot more than I know now about it? Sure, yeah, I could. Would I ever know more than the evolutionary biologists that are out there? No.
But if
No,
you
I would
had
never
a
be
question and you wanted to know, who would you go to?
Right. Would I spend a few months reading up on it and assume then that I know more than all the experts, and that if there's something I don't understand, then it's all bullshit, it's all nonsense?
I like how you even said months. What was that? What did that one guy
Oh, the
say?
guys, 3 days, or the weekend. Yeah, the weekend or 3 days. He spent 3 days looking into retroviruses, endogenous retroviruses, and he can officially tell you there's nothing there. They're not evidence of evolution.
That's another subject that when you look into
ERVs.
it, the creationists are obsessed about ERVs, and yet when you look into it, it seems to be evidence of evolution.
It does. For these to be random insertions that don't prove a relation from us to the other apes, it would be virtually unthinkable. We're like their stupid probability numbers. It blows that out of the water. Makes those look even dumb. Yeah.
You telling me that my grandma is a monkey?
So they're like, well, I mean, God could have just put it in there. You could put it in the same exact spot in the genome for gibbons, chimpanzees, and humans. Oh, God's trying to make it look like we all have a common ancestor, is he? Oh, well, no.
Common ancestor, common designer.
Yeah.
Except for when they're different. And then apparently still common designer.
Right.
But okay, sending so much love, davegar. Sending love, Chris Disciple, reminding us we have theists in the Skeptic Ranting community.
Hope he's doing well out there.
Sending so much love, Chris. Christians.
With some issues he was having, but I hope all that worked itself out for the best.
And I will sending love out there because we should support each other. We know that we have this one life, and we should support our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, James. He actually hasn't had a video out in 3 months. He was doing the Bible study through Genesis, and then he just kind of stopped a few months ago. I wonder what happened to him.
Sending so much love. Sometimes life.
That's studio. That's not Chris. That's Studio 215. Talking about the guy James Wolfe is mentioning. He's the guy who, remember, you were going to host the debate on you were going to mod the debate on MDV, and he's like, I don't want to hurt because they did a video about me. So we just did another one.
Yeah,
we did one video like 6 months ago. We left him alone after that. So
that is funny.
Yeah, that was him, Jamie, Studio 215. He was the Ken Hovind clone. He was copying even Ken Hovind's jokes.
Which, as you pointed out, this seems to be a Ken Hovind talking point that we're talking about.
This one is right here, yeah. If you're an avid connoisseur of Hovind, you'll know this one.
The Bombardier beetle. Which, once again, it's a very cool beetle. Sending love to Bree. Sending love to Hivesci, who does many awesome insects videos, among other great science videos. I am with her in that I'm one of those crazy people that think insects I don't know. I don't think so.
Well,
we're
if
just
she's
talking.
watching,
We're just
yeah,
talking
same thing.
Beatles, and I'm one of the crazy people that thinks they're cute. She clearly thinks they are adorable. She's got lots of them on her channel.
Tiles, yeah.
Maybe not a bombardier beetle, but many awesome ones. Once again, it's a cool thing. It's a self-defense mechanism. It's not a supernatural thing, but
No.
you know,
Not magic.
sending so much love also
Once again,
to
a system that doesn't require magic to operate doesn't require magic to create.
exactly.
If it operates fine based on pure physics and nature, then it can be created that way.
They also seem to have argument. I can't really think of anything else, which is, I guess, argument from incredulity. I just can't imagine how this could have evolved.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you thought about it a little?
I can't make sense of it, so we're going to have to go with the talking snake with legs. That's it.
Exactly.
No other option. That's it. Meanwhile, like all the evolutionary biologists who have studied the field for decades, they can tell you, no, that's not a barrier to evolution. Evolution can evolve systems that appear irreducibly complex. That is not a challenge. That is not a barrier. That it's incapable of working through. It happens, and we've seen it happen.
Yes. Speaking of irreducibly complex, after he does the bombardier beetle opening, of course, he just gets into a rigmarole of the hits. We're just gonna go right into
Not the highlights,
all of the fun.
The lowlights.
That's right, the lowlights. That's right. Sending love also to Rachel Holen, reminding us that you can, be a mistress and chain a femboy up to your chair. Just make sure they consented. Don't go to nations around you and take the women and children. It's kind of a dick move. You're probably not the good guy if it says, and then take the women and children for yourself.
But we're only taking the girls who have not had sex with a man yet. If they've had sex with a man, we're killing them. We execute them right away.
See, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah,
now it's
they're only the virgins. Because we don't want a chance that maybe they're pregnant with one of those dudes' babies. That would just be horrible. Because we're trying to eradicate them out of existence, not trying to have them corrupt our gene pool.
Exactly. Just gotta kill everybody, as God so spoken. But the last two, but not least, sending love. I'm gonna get my props. Sending love to Ian Davenport. Boom, 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 ba-doo, ba-doo, ba-doo. Reminding us that the apologetics arguments all suck. We're gonna see a bunch of fun ones tonight. And they haven't really created new ones in thousands of years, but that's okay. Still quote Aquinas. And Aquinas is really just trying to quote Aristotle. And somehow it's like a VHS. And each time that it gets copied, it gets worse. Ugh. Anyway, sending so much love to Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
Reminding us that, yes, we have a skeptic Bible study that we're even going to do in the coming days. Reminding us that the Bible has two roads. It either is giving us exposition. Oh, really? You're just going to give us the list of 63 dukes? Fantastic. That's really interesting. I'll read that at my wedding. And then murder. In between, I guess there's like Jesus with the what's the
Jesus loves me, this
yes.
I know, for the Bible tells me so.
But in between that, lots of murder.
Sermon on the Mount.
Yes, the Sermon on the Mount, and then basically
heals the blind guy.
He comes here with
kills the fig tree. He goes Terminator on the fig tree. It didn't produce fruit, out of season. How dare it? So he's going to kill it. You know who I am? I'm fucking God. Never mind. Why do you just make the tree produce fruit? I mean,
another
if you can
thing,
supernaturally kill a fig tree, then why don't you just make it poof fruit out of nowhere. He can make fruit and
If
he
you
can
can make
make
wine,
bread and fish.
Yeah.
He can make bread and fish poof out of nowhere to feed a crowd. I don't know. He didn't feel like making it make fruit. He just felt like killing something.
But were those powers given to him very specifically, or did he choose them? As in, like, did he choose to make water into wine, or could he just do
Yes.
anything? And at the moment, he was just like, you know what? I bet these bitches would really like to see water into wine.
I'm gonna get these hoes drunk.
It would be fantastic. Yeah, but sending so much love to Regis. And all right, we're probably in a second.
Lit up.
I'm about to woo. What's up, Robin? Thank you so very much. Welcome. Boom, boom, boom.
Thanks,
boom.
Robin Webster.
And welcome to the Skeptic Ranting membership with our evolving badges. Sending so much love out there. And we are in the evolving episode, which, we talk about evolution only because the creationists tend to be triggered by it. This seems to be one of the subjects within science that really upsets them.
It really makes their cornflakes soggy.
And I would say, I don't know why, but I guess we do know why, because it's an actual explanation, and theirs has to be the explanation. We understand diversity of life. We understand how animals came to be from single-celled organisms, and they had no real explanation.
Snake. I know. It was just a snake.
And my favorite thing, and then I'll be right back, and I'll hand it over to you, is they like to, after I think hearing and getting like a little, I don't know what it is. I was going to say PTSD, but that's offensive to actual people who have PTSD. But they get like, oh, I'm tired of them always calling my thing a fairy tale and comparing me to unicorns and zombies and stuff. And so they'll sit there and be like, oh, you look at this chart of things evolving. You believe in that fairy tale?
You drew lines on paper. That's all you have.
It's a story, James. You just have a story.
You just drew lines on paper. That's all you did.
Awesome. My favorite thing, Dale, is just, I want to know, was it red or white wine? Because it couldn't have been white wine. I'll tell you why. It couldn't have been white wine because that wouldn't have been as like, whoa. If it would have, there would have been a few that, like in the back who couldn't see. And so, like, it would have been like, did it change? Can you do it again? But like, water into red wine, oh, now shit's on.
You just put some tequila in it or something. I don't know. It doesn't look any different.
That's right. It was Jägermeister.
Jesus doing Jaeger bombs. It wouldn't be a fun wedding without a little bit of Jaeger.
What's up, Dave? What's up, Doorknob? What's up, everybody? Danny.
Jesus going around like Farva from Super Troopers saying "open bar, dude," turning everybody's drink into wine, getting everybody tanked. Yeah.
That mean there could have been a fratty Jesus, right?
I mean, hey, why not?
You think you're related to another thing? I know, they're related to a banana, which is always, it would be like, and once again, I'm not suggesting that we do this, but it would be like holding up a uterus or a fucking schlong and being like, you think you're related to this? Well, yeah, I guess in a weird way, yes. It's just you gotta go out a little bit more. And all right, I'll be right back.
Easy, Farva.
We're gonna go into the opposition viewpoint. We're talking, I believe this theory is evil. And James, oh, what's up, V-Town? Welcome on board. Mwah. But James, evolution, it's evil, apparently.
It's evil, yep. Yeah, it's just a video that I saw today, actually. It's pretty recent. It hasn't been out for too long, but I'm always scanning, looking for some interesting content for us to take a look at. What are the Christians saying? What are they actually talking about? Real Christians, real people who have different beliefs than us. What are they saying? What do they think? And let's see what we respond to it. Yeah. There we go. He's enjoying himself. But yeah, so this one came up, and needless to say, it was one of Ken Hoven's hits from the 90s, kind of a throwback, one that they don't really use anymore. But I'm pretty sure he got it from Ken Hoven because they all seem to be pretty familiar with his content, and they watch his stuff. So which DVD or VHS it was, I can't tell you that anymore. DVD number 6, number 5, number 4, one of them. The Bombardier Beetle. Talk about how complex systems can evolve step by step. And is it complicated? Yeah, sure. Sometimes it is. Do we know how each and every feature evolved on each and every single organism? No, we don't have all that information. But we don't have to do that. As Dapper Dino discussed in the debate with Otangelo, where he would start not throwing out things that Otangelo thought were irreducibly complex, or irreduced complex, as he might have put it. And Dapper Dino would actually tell him, give him a synopsis of how that item evolved. And he would just move down, oh, okay, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? You can't demand that we tell you how each and every feature evolved on each and every animal and say, if we can't do that, then you're going to go with the snake. But what we have done is we've shown how things that they claim are irreducibly complex can evolve. How can it happen? Once we show you that it can happen, it's no longer a barrier for evolution. It works. Evolution can get around those. Those are not unmanageable situations. Those are not gulfs that cannot be crossed by evolution. Okay, so it works. And this one with the Bombardier Beetle is kind of near and dear to him, I guess, because it's nostalgic. Goes back to the 90s when we didn't have quite as much evidence for evolution, I think, as we have today. They had more of like a free reign. There was no internet back at the time. There was no way for people to be able to check these claims. People could just they could spew these claims out, and for you to try to go to libraries and try to get research and track down answers for this was not easy. They had a much easier time of it before the internet, because now you can pretty quickly find out that what they're telling you is bullshit. No, it's wrong. Find out why, in detail why the things that they're telling you. And probably why a lot of the slides they use, a lot of the cases that they refer back to, go back to the 80s, 90s, 70s, 1950s. They're still talking about Nebraska Man, something that they pulled out of the textbook in like the 1950s. Science has no. You show that something's not right, that not true. Yeah, they have no problem taking it out of the textbook. They will. We've got plenty of evidence for evolution. If you find one thing that turns out to be not true, it's fine. It's no problem. We don't have to. It doesn't all have to be true like their Bible. We only need to find one thing wrong in the Bible, and then have we disproven the whole thing? No, we haven't disproven it all, but we have disproven the fact that it's inerrant, that it's perfect, that it's 100% reliable, because that's what they're going to tell you. Well, yeah, you have evidence for some things, and some things, yeah, you don't have evidence for it, but it has a great track record. It's 100% right when you can test it. So Therefore, you should be able to trust it with things that it doesn't provide evidence for, that you can't test on it. We would say, actually, no. It fails quite often. When it makes testable claims, they fail quite often. And so if the testable claims fail, why would you trust it on the claims that you can't test? And so what that looks like, what they've done is the testable claims, they have reworked those. They have retreated. They have reinterpreted those to be metaphors, allegorical. They're not literal. They're poetic. The Bible uses flowery, poetic language. You can't take everything as literal. So, yeah. So if it makes a testable claim and that claim can be tested, then, it's not meant to be literal. But if it makes a claim that you can't test, well, then that you have to take absolutely literally. Your eternity lies in the balance, don't you know? Your eternity. Because if you don't believe the right things, God will not. He will not hesitate to kill you. He will do mean things to you after you're dead because you did not believe the right things. And he's not under any obligation to get evidence for you to make it believable. He doesn't care. He does not care. He's not going to be the one burning for it. That's going to be you. It's not his obligation to make it make sense to you. Yeah. Biblical entropy. The real entropy is like their miracle claims, their evidence, because you could get lots of evidence if you lived in the first century, or if you lived in 600, 700 BC. You could see actual miracles. You would get actual miracles that you could see with your own eyes. We don't get any of that now. That doesn't happen anymore. And why is that? Well, because God just decided he doesn't want to do that anymore, so he doesn't do it. No rhyme, it's no reason. He just doesn't want to do it anymore.
And I know causation isn't always correlation, but isn't it kind of weird that we have these devices that can actually finally record miracles, and they just seem to have gone away?
Well, see, that's the thing, Amy, because if you see something, then you don't have to have faith. And so he can do miracles as long as they're not recorded, because then you still have to have faith in the person who told you. So like that thing, like if someone told you they could fly, well, I mean, you can't see it, but if you would still have to have faith in that person telling it to you, right? Otherwise you wouldn't believe it. So that's fine. But if you could just be shown a video of it, that would be like intruding on your free will, maybe. Now don't, because okay, the children of Israel, they did see God do these miracles like the Red Sea. And then, they did choose to, a few weeks later, make the golden calf. So, I mean, I guess they still had free will, even though they saw the miracles. But we can't do that today. You can't see it because it would intrude on your free will. They could do it. They could see it. And then they could still choose to do something God wouldn't like. Because, right, I mean, what could go wrong, Amy? You just saw God kill the firstborn of Egypt. You just saw God rain down all these plagues. He rescued you from slavery. He parted the Red Sea. He drowned the Pharaoh's army. He did all this shit. But, Moses, he's been up on that mountain for, it's been a couple weeks now. And we get bored down here. And we've got all this gold that God told us to steal from the Egyptians. On our way out, he's like, hey, by the way, on your way out, grab some of their gold and silver from their houses. So we did that. We have it all. Why don't we melt all that gold and make an idol, and we'll worship that until Moses gets back? What could be wrong? What could go wrong with that plan, Amy? You think God would maybe be a little?
It's flawless logic.
You might want to kill a few people when he gets. No. Yeah.
What are you doing? I left you alone. James, this is the problem also. The moment that people just get left alone, they go off and they go do other shit. It's the same like the Adam and Eve story.
That's basically the thing. Every time Israel is left alone for more than like 10 minutes, the first thing they start doing is worshiping other gods. They've seen all these miracles. Christians today don't do that. They've never seen miracles. They've never witnessed any of these miracles that these people back then wished, but for some reason they're able to keep the faith. Okay, but these people who were eyewitnesses, who saw this stuff happening right before their very eyes, didn't work for them because they were worshiping other gods. Anytime the chance came up, hey, you're walking down the street and somebody down the alley like, hey, you come here, yeah, you come over here, yeah. Let's go worship this. Let's go worship this other god. Oh, I don't know. Yahweh might be upset. He just killed the prophet Aaron Ra's sons for making strange fire. Yeah, but he totally won't know. He won't know. Let's just go do it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, strange fire. There's a lot of weird terminology within the Bible that you're like, okay, well, should have told us more about this strange fire.
Yeah. Amy found her thing, Ian, but then she realized it was in her rectum the entire time. That's where she left it there. Yeah. And she was looking all over for it, and then she reached down there. Oh, it's been down there this whole time.
James, sometimes it's the place that you should have looked for first.
Right.
But that was the only prayer I've ever had where I remember I really need something. And of course it was the most mundane and stereotypical. And then what the theist always says was, did you find your keys? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a supernatural event? Probably
all the people around the world praying for their friends and family, their loved ones to get healed of horrible diseases. And do they always get healed, Amy? I mean, sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes God says, no, I'm sorry. Part of my plan. They're going to die. You won't understand it. I can't explain it to you, but they're going to die.
I can't explain it, but I know they are going to die.
I mean, I could explain it, but you wouldn't understand it because my ways are so much better than your ways, and I made you, so you wouldn't understand me. You just have to believe that I'm good either way, even though, I do things that seem really horrible and bad and mean to you guys. But I promise you, I'm totally good.
But I'm the creator of the universe, and so that makes everything I do good, even if it seems once again evil. That's okay. We are going to move into the opposition.
Oh boy.
Talking point. If you have any questions, comments, or one-liners, as always, tag at James W. or at Amy Newman. We are Skeptic and Ranting on I Believe This Theory is Evil. And I mean, in essence, not clickbaity at all. Make sure sound is on. And let's get into it with the fun in the bun.
This has got people outraged because what this little guy will do next is going to cause big problems for a certain group of people. If there was one creature in the animal kingdom that causes evolutionists to question their entire theory, it would be the bombardier beetle. How can I make such a massive claim? Well, you will too when you see what's inside these beetles. Fix your eyes on this. The bombardier beetle can be a masterpiece of engineering design. It has glands in its belly that produce two safe chemicals when kept apart, hydroquinone and hydrogen peroxide. But get this, the beetle then sends these chemicals into a sort of storage tank where it keeps them for a rainy day. So let's see what happens when the bombardier beetle spots trouble ahead. Once unhappy, the beetle, using a complex valve system, sends these two chemicals into another uniquely designed chamber. And from there, the beetle secretes a special catalyst of enzymes, which when mixed with the two chemicals, create an overpowering spray, which is 100 degrees Celsius. Right, so now we have this scalding hot spray. It's ready. So the bombardier beetle, he sizes up his enemy. He twists his lower body and then rotates the two nozzles at his tail end. And with precise accuracy, he erupts his insane combination at anyone who dares to mess with him. And the craziest thing of all is the bombardier beetle lets out not just one, not just two booms, but 500 booms per second to ensure that he is nobody's lunch today. So come on, let's ask the obvious question here. Why does this leave the evolutionist speechless? I'll tell you.
It doesn't. But
so they've taken over the world by now? They're the dominant
basically.
species on the planet?
why. When you look at this incredibly complex system, and you know that this is inside every single bombardier beetle, you have to admit that this system must be carefully designed, because any system involving combustion and the fusion of two powerful chemicals must have a mind behind it. Why? Because anyone who works with combustion knows that many things can go easily wrong. I mean, think about it. If evolution is step-by-step, gradual, unguided changes...
Also, pointing at a natural thing and then saying, this has to be designed. 500 boobs per second. I thought insects didn't give them.
Over millions of years. That means that at some point in the bombardier beetle's history, it had no chemical spray. So what happened the first time that it mixed these two chemicals? When it didn't have any storage tank and it didn't have anywhere to hold it, how would it store this?
It's a little loud for me.
How does it manage to eject and release this spray if it hadn't yet evolved these two nozzles at its tail end? And then the other thing that's got me thinking is, what about the storage chambers when they were evolving? How did the first storage chambers have the durability, the thickness not to melt whilst holding this red hot fusion? Come on.
Well, they could be one chamber, and what was used for one thing slowly becomes, I know it's crazy, but it slowly morphs into two different organs, slowly separating. I don't understand why he thinks this is a supernatural thing. In fact, he's saying a creator intelligence. Once again, they never really will go into how, spoiler alert, but it's just to say it was made by someone. Okay, but someone instantly just poof, because there is evolution even in engineering, in our own models and things that we create.
Guys, you know as well as I do that if left to chance, without all of these parts fully made and fully functioning together, this beetle would burst into 1,000 pieces the first time it ever attempted to make its own rocket fuel. It is kind of obvious, isn't it, that such a fragile combustion system must require an intelligent designer. Because if you remove any part of the system, it would be impossible for the bombardier beetle to survive, as it would either destroy itself or it wouldn't have the tools to protect itself from any bigger animals, and thus...
Like, one example was the chemicals made for the exoskeleton for the beetle are not too dissimilar, and there are other mechanisms that once again could have been the forebearers of what would become the two mechanisms that mix together to become this defense mechanism.
Would not survive and would not pass on its genes, and we would not have bombardier beetles today. But I can hear exactly what you're saying right now. Big deal, Joe. So there's this one beetle which throws a curveball into the theory of evolution. That does not prove that intelligent design happened by a creator. Well, what if I told you that there are...
Once again, the beetle and its defense mechanism. Exactly. The only way it actually can be explained is through evolution. I'd be open to other ways, but saying it wasn't evolution, even though James and myself disagree, that just saying that doesn't mean your reason is right. Now you have to present evidence for why you're God. And of course, as always, they Xenu us, and they're leaving the God out for,
yeah,
for the end.
That's phase 2. You got to sign up for the intelligent design first. It's like the Muslims, like, okay, you
like priming.
Once you okay, there has to be this necessary being there. It's got to be one. So okay, you got to look at all these gods. Okay, yeah, you might not like any of them. You might think they're all stupid and absurd, but you've already said it's got to be one of them, right? So pick the one that seems to have the least contradictions.
In fact, Muslims tend to, at least the YouTube ones that I have interacted with, they tend to start with something like the kalam. So they just want to get you to, all right, everything has a first cause, something within the universe. Now that we've had a first cause, well, what was that cause? It had to have been an intelligent creator, blah, 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 blah. We don't know which intelligent creator it was, but of course, yeah, I know. I like, they assert creator in such a way that it's just confidence. It makes no sense to me. I'll continue to say this, and I know it sounds strange to word it like this. The only creators we know of are two things in this universe, and that is the small branch of life that we call animals. There's lots of life. Single-celled organisms make up 50% of life, and yet animals, vertebra, only the small branch of mammals, or animals, we actually tend to create things. Ness, we create dams, we create computers, and then AI. Those are the only two things. Those are the two things I know of that are creators. And so if they want to assert some other creator, like at the beginning of the universe, it's going to need a little bit more evidence than just, yeah, I don't understand how this beetle evolved.
Everything that begins to exist has a cause, and
Yeah.
Are examples of what famously has been called irreducible complexity throughout the entire animal kingdom. And I'm going to show you some of these examples. But first, let's
exactly. Once again, here we go. We begin our hits round, and we start with irreducible complexity.
The ghost of Michael Behe is haunting us again. He's coming back from the intellectual grave. That beatdown he got in Kitchener.
Charles Darwin, the author of evolution. He said if it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. I wonder what goes through your mind as you hear that. That in other words, the evolution daddy himself is saying that if there is one organism which can be proved that it does not evolve by tiny slight modifications, then everything I've ever said is one big fat lie. Well, did you know that there's not just one organism which is irreducibly complex?
Lie, by the way, includes intent. It would mean that people are wrong. I don't think you're lying. I think you're wrong.
But there are many throughout the entire.
Well, that's the whole thing with even with Haeckel's embryos,
what does it even mean?
Like where they say oh well, some of them weren't like the best drawings, and you could make that argument. But do you have any evidence to show that he was trying to deceive anybody, that he was intentionally trying to mislead anybody? No, they don't. And that's why when they're saying it's a lie or he lied, that's quite different than saying maybe the first drawings weren't the best. And by the way, in the second edition, they updated those to make them more accurate. No need to lie. Kenobi still can't pick out the human embryo amongst the group of them. They're that similar. He can't tell you which one is human for sure.
I just look at other apes, and I just don't understand. To me, and I understand like a visual and a gut feeling. Now we're traveling just slightly away from science, but they look so much like us that the fact that when it matches up genetically, it makes sense. And with these two things, I don't know. Don't understand how you could deny it, but let's keep on going.
Put it simply to me, please. Okay, irreducible complexity is the argument that there is life, there are systems which have multiple parts which interact together, and if you remove just one of these parts, the entire system would not function. This obviously debunks
the bacteria flagellar.
All life comes from a simple life form, and by small modifications, more complex systems can be gradually built by natural selection. But when a system is irreducibly complex, it needs every part to be fully developed for the system to work.
It doesn't need all those things. Like, it doesn't use all that stuff to digest its food. Like you all you care about is that one mechanism, and yet it's still, if it's an insect, it has 6 legs, it is separated into segments. I mean, it has other things that it needs.
It has to be specific, created by God, or the bacteria are not going to move fast. People not going to get sick and die from bacterial infection.
I first of all, I just want to appreciate the fact that on the screen there is an insect with fire blowing out its butthole. I just want to. That is actually a fantastic graphic. The longer that I look at it. Second of all, that's not a supernatural thing.
I mean, I feel that way sometimes. I know you probably feel that way sometimes.
I'm fairly sure that was evolved because the beetles actually got a lot of Taco Bells.
Yeah,
it's just they went all around.
Bean burritos went
exactly
with those.
And thus, I'm pretty sure. By the way, that explanation still makes more sense than God.
True, it doesn't require miracle or magic.
points away from an unguided process of millions of years, but points more towards the purposeful arrangements of all of the parts by an intelligent creator. God. If you still look confused, don't worry, because I want you to meet Michael Behe. He is the man who actually came up with this term, irreducibly complex, and he also has a very, very easy to understand illustration. And once you see this, everything will become clearer.
The same applies to this rather complex drill. It has some cool add-ons, but I could take off this battery gauge, LED light, or a few other gadgets, and I'd still have a working drill. But how far can I reduce its complexity and not ruin it? I don't want to take apart my drill, so let me move to another example. This mousetrap. The complexity of this machine entails 5 parts: the platform, the spring, the hammer, the holding bar, and the catch. Now, if I reduce the number of parts from 5 to 4, if I take away the holding bar or the spring or any other part, it wouldn't work. Every part is essential. I call this irreducible complexity.
Now, this, as you can imagine, has received quite a bit of criticism, even surprisingly, from other theists.
I'm wearing a tie
that
looks like it's composed of a mousetrap. That's not very elegant. It does keep my tie in place. But what you'll see when I take this out is that this is a mousetrap from which I've removed 2 of the parts. I've removed the catch and the base hold. You can't catch any mice with this. But these
still does something.
Are perfectly functional in a different context. And one context would be holding my tie on. Another context would be serving as a large paperclip.
They might be able to criticize.
Fantastic. That is a good example. And that is what generally happens.
It doesn't matter if you think that's stupid. Biology doesn't care. Biology will use whatever it has available for whatever it can use it for.
Also, I like that little dig because it does show that this isn't really, as much as it is like, you know, the front lines or the atheists and the, you know, the Christians and maybe the Muslims. It really isn't a atheist versus theist battle.
Not strictly.
Really,
so.
These fundamentalists, and he's even taking pot shots at the other theists who clearly think Michael Behe's example is, I hate to use that word again, stupid.
Dumb, man. It's really dumb.
Behe's mousetrap illustration, but very few have struggled to explain just how the Phlegon motor evolved.
I think the best, well, the most visually striking example of design is something called the bacterial flagellum. Now, this is a figure of a bacterial flagellum taken from a textbook, which is widely used in colleges and universities around the country.
Tell us how many RPMs do it.
Quite literally, an outboard motor that bacteria use to swim. And in order to accomplish that function, it has a number of parts which are ordered to that effect. Now, this part here, which is labeled the filament, is actually the propeller of the bacterial flagellum. The motor is actually a rotary motor. Most people who see this and have the function explained to them quickly realize that these parts are ordered for a purpose and therefore bespeak design.
The idea is that there are certain aspects of life, perhaps organisms or organs or even cells, that in a sense could only have come about as a whole.
Being silent because I can't help myself.
Just a kind of a contingent combination of
There
parts.
we go. He used contingent. That's as long as I could hold it in. We know there are other mechanisms that use the tail, such as the bacterial flagellum, things like an injector that has would be able to connect with others. And so there are pre-existing functionality that could have evolved into a motor. It's not just that these questions have Googleable answers. It's that they don't want to know the answers, or when they're told the answers, they reject them.
No, that's what it is. It's they're not just asking questions because they're like asking questions like the way the flat earthers ask questions, or like the Holocaust deniers ask questions, because it's when they find the answers that they're to the questions they're asking for. They don't like the answers, so they just pretend that they don't work, or they're not good enough, or they just forget them altogether.
Because they already know what the answer is to begin with, and that was God made it. And so it doesn't matter what scientific answer you give, they are going to reject it.
Parts over even millions or billions of years, but rather in a sense had to be created whole cloth all together at once.
Whole cloth.
Everything fits together so.
I love that though, because when I say,
like fish out of Turin.
But a theist or a creationist could be saying that I'm straw manning, this gentleman over here when I say it's the poof model, whole cloth. All right, they just did not exist, and then
out of nothing, ex nihilo.
Yes,
out of nothing.
He
spoke it out of nothing. Nothing, poof, animal. Goat, poof. Poof, chicken. Poof chipmunk. Yeah.
Which is how I like my animals. Poof, chicken. KFC.
So well that to remove one part, the thing wouldn't function.
Let's examine a much larger system, the giraffe. Giraffes are actually very strong evidence that animals did not gradually evolve.
I don't
No,
know
they're
if that
not.
was an intentional pun, like he said, a much larger system, and it was like it's a giraffe. But like I was talking to about with James earlier,
I thought he was going to a larger system like the whale. The whale is a much larger system.
But the giraffe is normally used as an example of bad design, of something we would not. And so it's almost like, yes, he's trying to like double down on no, it's the exact opposite type of mentality.
Over millions of years. You already know that giraffes have 6-foot long necks, but did you know that every time a giraffe does this, it could be potentially over for our long-necked friends if, and the big if is, they were not designed by an intelligent designer. The fact is this, each giraffe has a 25-pound heart. Why is it so big? Well, the giraffe's heart has a very trying job to do. It has to pump a huge amount of blood all the way up the neck towards the head whilst working against gravity. Here is the problem with step-by-step evolutionary modifications. Because if the giraffe's mega heart is constantly pumping large amounts of blood to the head, what happens when the giraffe bends its neck right down to drink from a water hole? Suddenly, all of that power would of course rush an insane amount of blood and pressure to the giraffe's brain, which would cause the giraffe at best to pass out.
The Lowinger nerve,
recurrent laryngeal nerve,
is what allows giraffes to, have giant necks and be able to get these leaves at the tippy top. However, that probably isn't the best design. It seems like it was driven that way.
Because that nerve in fish, because fish don't have necks, so that nerve is very short, very like not even a centimeter long from the brain to where it goes. But in giraffes, that nerve goes all the way down the neck, all the way back up the neck. To start off, they're basically a couple centimeters from where it originated. All that nerve space up and down the neck to go basically right next to itself, because evolution doesn't care. It only works with what it has. So as that neck is getting longer, that nerve just has to get a little bit longer with that neck. It's not purposefully designed. It's it's nature working with what it's got.
What's up, Beamsy? And yes, it was driven that way by evolutionary pressures, by things like the environment, not by a god going, I just want to make one with a really long neck. Poof.
Oh, wouldn't it be cool? Amy, I got an idea. Let me make a beetle that farts fire out. Like, not just like really stinky fire, but actual fire. I want to make a beetle that farts fire. Like sharks with laser beams on their heads, right? Yeah. Okay, Holy Spirit, you can make a fucking beetle that farts fire out. What the fuck?
But it just makes me want to think, is it like a late night show where he's got a staff, there's staff writers, and God is just creating animals?
Humans will have to hold like cigarette lighters to their ass to make themselves fart fire, but the beetles, we could just give them all the equipment that they'll need.
God damn it, Beamsy. Fish do not have necks? Damn. So how am I going to choke one and get him to call me daddy? I don't know.
Fish, I don't think fish talk. Kind of like snakes, Amy.
The amount of animals, other animals that talk in the Bible and the Quran and the Torah, all of these books, is stunning. Like, it rivals Pixar movies and Disney movies, except for the murder.
Like Bambi and Thumper, talking.
All right, now it's starting to match the murder.
Winnie the Pooh.
There's not to date this episode, but there's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Have you seen it? Blood? No, it came out a few years ago. Blood and Honey. Yeah. Have you seen it?
I have not.
It's kind of fucked up in multiple ways.
And wait, this I think is the sequel.
Is this a sequel? They're making a version 2?
This is a sequel.
Oh, because Christopher Robin barely got out with his head not removed last time. So I wonder what happens now.
I think this one's like Pet Cemetery.
Oh wow, okay. We never saw it from the rabbit or Tigger last time. We just saw Pooh and Piglet. And Eeyore is dead, by the way, so you never see him. He's not part of the movie. He's already dead. But
may his soul rest in peace. Though we don't believe in souls, so that's okay. Now it's been joined with a comedy horror Bambi. What's up, Mr. Creenan? What's up, everybody? We are having fun. We're watching, and this is the long title because he doesn't do clickbait. I know you think I'm wrong, not passive aggressive, but I believe this theory is evil.
And at worst, well, it doesn't bear thinking about, because fortunately, the giraffe was intelligently designed to be able to cope with this dilemma. Inside every giraffe is an irreducibly complex system. The giraffe's blood vessels are unique in that they have reinforced walls with bypass valves, and these valves are instructed exactly when to open and when to close by sensor signals, which tell the giraffe whether to restrict the blood flow to the brain or to release it. But here's the real fingerprint.
And a mechanism that could have
this had to happen all at once? I don't know.
Yeah, this could have been formed slowly by evolution. They are. I'm trying to remember if they're even or
maybe first
to euglots.
Maybe they would have had a harder time at one point lowering their neck down. Maybe their neck wasn't that long at the time. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, they probably looked like, you can imagine an animal that looked like that had a shorter neck. And then as all of the trees that died, because all of those animals, the ones that had short necks, died out after those trees died out, because the food that you can eat, only the long necks survive. Now the long necks can have all of the long plants that they choose.
Just think of that. They just think that's so cruel. You mean all the ones that had the short necks had to die so that all the tall neck ones could take over? Well, yeah, that's. Yeah.
Yo, and you're right. Not only, Danny, are they over-analyzing, but I swear this guy is just defensive as frick. Because I know you think I'm wrong. Like, that's like the opening to a boy band. I know you think I'm wrong, but Becky, I'm leaving. Okay, whatever.
The creator on the giraffe, supposing that these moderating blood vessels let a little bit too much blood through the bypass valves. What happens then? Well, I'm glad you asked, because inside of the giraffe's head is a genius sponge-like design which absorbs too much blood and then releases the exact amount to the brain until the giraffe's blood pressure equalizes. Oh, and by the way, just a little throwaway comment here. Once the giraffe has refreshed its palate and lifts its head up, this complex system knows exactly how to work in reverse, so then you don't get problems with too much blood then rushing away from the head. So if you're let me ask you a question.
Amazing.
If these systems were somehow the product of random unguided evolution, how many giraffes do you think passed out until these features somehow knew to evolve?
Because you're using random inappropriately, not appropriate. You are not looking at the fact that a good amount of animals didn't pass out, they died. Like, it's a little bit more serious than just passing out. But yes, they have hearts that are that strong to match the fact that they are that tall.
Thank you, Mr. Creenan.
The obvious answer is that the very first giraffe must have had these complex features already wired inside it, or they wouldn't.
No. It could have been a very slow. It could have been that their hearts actually matched their neck size back in the day.
I mean we have a pretty good understanding of how whales evolved from land animals, and whales look very, very different from animals that walk on land, but we have a pretty good evolutionary history of it because, hey, they tend to live near the water, which is one thing that fossilizes, leads to more. So we have pretty good records of it. It works.
And crazy enough, whales and giraffes have a fairly recent common ancestor.
Yeah.
Have been able to survive and pass on their genes and still be here today. I'm going to choose my words carefully now, because as I said in my missing link video, it is not my goal in any way to try and come across as smug or arrogant or to try and win an argument. No, I just very gently
Okay, once again, little bit defensive, but whatever.
I want to try and get people to think. Whether you believe in evolution or not, if you're totally honest with me right now, you've got to agree that it does make sense for these complex systems to have an intelligent mind behind them. The eye has a superior auto-focusing system, more so than the best
now we're at the
camera
eye.
you can buy in any shop. And yet how many of you would believe that a camera could build itself? Even the technology that we all have today.
No, a camera doesn't build itself. A camera, because it's artificial, has a creator. What's up, Purple? What's up, Atheist Carpenter? A creation, I'll keep on saying, not only does it come from an animal or AI, but they are artificial. We are not artificial. We are naturally occurring.
What does that mean?
That means that we are formed from snoo.
Oh, you mean you can't take like a bunch of cars and say they all evolved from a skateboard?
They says things like that.
But you could have a golf cart try and have sex with a skateboard, and it will not produce a car. I promise you.
That is true.
A four-wheeler have sex with a golf cart and make a Ford F-150. It doesn't work that way.
And yet there's an evolution. Once again, even if we were to look at like cars, we could say there's a car evolution. Cars were different back in the day than they are now.
Is a great example of how language evolves over time. Not in great leaps at one time. There was, you look at English language today. You look at English language in the year 1100. And you're not going to be able to make anything out. But no time during that period was the language radically different from one day to the next. Like they said, okay, one day, okay, now we're speaking Old English. Tomorrow, we're all going to transition to Middle English. And they just did it. In one day, they just all spoke and wrote Middle English. And then, okay, it's been a few hundred years. We're just going to get rid of grammatical gender. Tomorrow, we all get rid of grammatical gender.
The Romance languages were like, listen, we're going to have French and we're going to have Spanish. We're going to have them
Italian
tomorrow. All at the same time.
Latin.
Boom.
Yeah.
But
no, at no point was there a big difference from one day to the next in language, but over hundreds of years, there are vast differences.
Yes, they don't want to look at a big picture sort of view. If you look at it and just say, here's one organism and here's another, it looks like big changes have occurred. However, if you look at the very small gradual changes, it makes sense.
That right now we're a little bit fearful of. This technology, yes, it knows how to recreate itself, but it first had to be designed. It first had to be instructed. It first had to be fed information by an intelligent human mind, or else it wouldn't be here today. So why is it we are told to believe that our 8 billion minds, smart thinking minds, came from no minds? Why are we told to believe that our...
Because that is generally
evidence
where the evidence is.
We don't have any evidence for the super mind out there.
But there were billions of years where it was just single cellular life. And then we had the mitochondria revolution, so to speak, where we have fungi and plants.
The organelles.
That's really coming
beginning
first.
Of organelles.
Yes, and then fungi and animals being like, all right, we'll pick the niches after plants have already dominated.
Conscious mind came from the unconscious. These are serious questions that I believe every atheist must have an answer for. Because if they are, the Bible is clear that they'll one day meet the God that they have rejected
neurology,
and bow to his son. But my dear friends, listen to me.
Not
because
theology.
Anyone who can hear my voice right now is not without hope. There is no one who is too far gone. Why? Because God the Father. And
I was waiting for this. We are getting closer and closer to the Xenu part of the, the script. And that is, of course, where we've done rejecting science, and it's time to replace it with something else. My God.
Yeah.
Came up with a wonderful salvation plan, which is irreducibly complex. I've been thinking about this.
Hey, it's a callback.
Part of it was removed, any of these interacting parts came away, then the plan would not work. So everyone take this into your mind and stop me if I get something wrong. Because you and...
Yeah.
All right, folks. Good night. It's been a great episode. He said stop him when he gets something wrong. No, I'm just teasing, but not on the first part.
Look at this young woman here. She seems upset that
she's very troubled.
She's angst, and she's just looking for answers, Amy. She needs answers, and science is just not giving them to her.
I've actually had a look, the same look, and so I know what she's feeling right now. And she very specifically is saying that I ordered DoorDash. The driver, I think, is lost. I don't really know how to handle this situation.
She looks like she's early 20s, so she should have like 7 kids by now, roughly. 8, maybe an 8th on the way.
I mean, James, that's what the Bible says, right?
Just instructing them all on
multiply,
homeschooling them all on the Bible.
That's right.
Yeah.
Giving them a real education.
Like, is this what I want for my? Yes, it's what. It doesn't matter if this is what you want for your life. This is what God wants for your life.
That's right.
And I have messed up. We have tried to run the show ourselves. We have broken God's laws, and therefore we have accumulated a huge debt of sins which we have to pay off. So the first thing we need is someone to pay off our sins. That's the first part. However, it's no good having any old Joe to write off our debts. This person.
I love this.
I mean, this is all like God made all this shit up, and he's talking about it like it's like objectively, like this is just the law of no. This is shit that God made up. This whole debt, this whole evil, this whole us needing somebody to pay our debt that we can't. He made all that shit up.
But James, do you know what's coming? It can't just be anyone. It's got to be a specific type of person. It starts with a P. A per.
A pizza maker.
A pizza maker. I don't understand why.
Prostitute.
It has to be...
Prostitute.
Yes, honestly, if it ended up being a prostitute, I would accept them.
I mean, now we would call them a sex worker, but they would probably use the P word for prostitute.
But very specifically, they're supposed to be perfect, and I never get that claim. I don't get why it has to be perfect, and now we can kill them.
Oh,
now when we kill them,
the whale has a 15-foot penis, and it is perfect. It is. The whale's penis, Amy, is irreducibly complex. If one part of the whale's penis is not working, you don't get baby whales, Amy. It's irreducibly complex. It doesn't get hard. No baby whales. If it's not connected to the balls, no sperm, no baby whales. It's got to be irreducibly complex.
I know. Also, can I also point out that Christians very specifically love to take pot shots at like other pagan religions. So like the Mayans, it's so crazy. They're sacrificing virgins. And it's like, yeah. So your guy, right? Unless he had crazy wild sex that we don't know about.
I actually think one of the motivations for the gospel authors creating this Jesus character was they realized that this whole animal sacrifice thing is fucking stupid. And this idea about taking animals and having the priest kill them and spray their blood on an altar so God won't be mad at them is pretty fucking dumb. So if they can get away from that, okay, we can have this one sacrifice once and for all. Now we don't have to do that stupid. We don't have to kill animals anymore every time we do something mean for God to not be mad at us.
Person has to be perfect. They have to be without sin. Otherwise, they would first have to pay off their own sins before they could save any of us. And that is the second part. Now, according to the scripture, for us to be forgiven, blood has to be spilt. The Bible says...
Once again, he made that shit up. That's not a law of nature. That's God making that shit up. So, yeah, okay. Saying you can't pay it off, but made that up. Okay. Only be paid by blood also made that up. They act like, oh no, this is God's forced to do this. It's not his fault. This is really just the same thing as the Exodus from Egypt. This is God getting his people into Egypt with a long, drawn out, elaborate plan. Okay, getting them into bondage, then getting them out of bondage and demanding to be thanked for it. Because he caused all these problems to begin with. He does, and then he gives you a solution. He wants you to thank him for it. So God has this elaborate plan to get humans into sin, sets all these rules so we can't get ourselves out, and then he volunteers to come and save us. He declares that the only sacrifice he will accept is himself, so he can go do that, save us, and then we have to spend eternity thanking him for that. I mean, this is okay. He made it all up.
For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus our Lord. It also says...
so it took us, a little while to finally get to our Xenu, but after bashing on science for a good 14 minutes of the video, we finally hit Jeebus. We found God, James. We found Yahweh. We found Jesus.
He was there all along.
There all along.
Sitting
was
at
hiding.
the Brooklyn Bagel. Sitting at the Brooklyn Bagel, enjoying his bagel with lox and an iced coffee. Waiting for
Who
us
doesn't?
According to the law, almost all things are purified with blood, and without shedding of blood, there is no remission. So some...
Can I also point out, I'm always like, I'll take pot shots at any of the religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, but when we are dealing with specific religions, why I talk about Christianity is a blood cult is because they talk like this. Like, it is about killing a dude, a perfect dude. Somehow that makes it better. You don't understand, James. It's not like we killed anyone. We killed a really, really nice dude. Oh, wow. I didn't know about that. Then I guess I'll just walk away now. Because now it's basically charity.
I mean, that's like the Matt Dillahunty, where he says that God sacrificed himself to himself to act as a loophole for rules that he himself created.
A little bit, right? Yes, it's the Egypt thing, and I know we tangent a lot. I can't help it, but he got the Jews into Egypt.
This elaborate plan with Joseph, very elaborate plan to get them into Egypt. With Joseph getting sold into slavery, the dreams and all that. Yeah, all that elaborate plan to get them enslaved.
But the great kicker, he then hangs that over their head over and over and over, like a dad, an abusive dad, somehow trying to say that he's
got you guys out of
Egypt around.
Yes. Yeah. Every time they ask for something or something's not going right, I got you guys out of Egypt. Well, yeah, you also got us into Egypt. So, I mean, okay, send us back to Egypt. Fine, at least we had food there. I mean, being a slave sucks, but better than starving to death out in the desert.
At what point do you hear that? Do you go, you know what? Maybe we should go back to Egypt.
I mean, at least they fed us. We had to have food to do the work for them.
But that's okay. It's God. Chosen people. I'm sure it'll work out.
Someone had to shed their blood to wash away, to scrub away our guilty stains of sin.
Makes no
That's
sense.
The third part. Okay, but what good is forgiveness if we just die? If there is no paradise after this life? So what do we need now? Well, we need someone
Paradise. Once again, I talk about a cult. Because cult language, you're going to a paradise. You talk about a utopia. Not to go like political and all that, but they talk about the secularists and the humanists and whatever, trying to create a better world. And they're like, oh, you want to be utopias. And it's like, no, we just want to live in a better this world. But then they tend to be apocalyptic. They are okay with the world ending.
Because they're always saying like, oh, like there will never be peace in the Middle East until Jesus comes back, like the Israel and the Palestine, like that the only solution to that, Amy, is Jesus. That's it. That any other solution will not work.
Jesus.
It's Jesus. Probably not. They gotta just turn their hearts over to Jesus and it'll all be fine.
I think that the only way, and I know that I get a lot of shit for this opinion, and yet there's only going to be one way to get peace in the Middle East, and that is when both of them stop being religious. Once they stop being religious, and I get it.
That would be a good.
And can I tell you, James? Here's what I get every time from people who disagree with me. They go, "Amy, you're oversimplifying it. What we need is a really complex solution. That's what we haven't tried. Stop it with this." And I just sit there and I go, you're right, There must be a reason. There must be some reason in the Middle East for why they're fighting, and I just can't put my head on it. I'm just a simple reason. All right,
well, I mean, what they well, they won't say it to you, but when they're just with their own kind, when they're just in their own little cliques, what they'll basically say that they should do is they should just let Israel just kill them all. Just take the shackles off, let Israel just go and kill them all, and that'll be it. That's what they really think.
Yeah.
They think that would happen, by the way, that Israel would be able to just destroy all the Arabs if we just let them. I don't think that's a realistic scenario, but that's what they think.
Very political, but just down the center with a religious bent. Who am I not a big fan of? That is Hamas, and lately, especially the past few years, the Israeli government. Who am I on the side of? The Palestinians and the Israelis.
I don't think there's necessarily a good guy in the fight over there. It's not.
Well, no, because
I do terrible for the people. Yeah, caught up in the
because what's the reason? What's the reason? Who is it that runs the institutions and wants to continue these wars generation after generation? Who gives them permission to take the land? Because I sometimes get that it's more about that. It's complex, but who gives them the okay? I'll tell you who. Point up. Up. And I know they'll say, well, that's not where God is. He's everywhere. But if I point down, they seem to get upset.
No, that's God. That's where God is, down there.
Yeah.
You're pointing to the right place.
What can I tell you?
Yeah, I mean, we all know what happens if people do things, and Amy didn't give them permission, right?
Then they go down there under the desk.
Yeah, they might be down there for a while if they do something about it.
That's right. But I guess let's enough geopolitics. We'll keep on going into it, even though he's bringing in God, which is what they always do. We had to first talk about beetles ejecting fire from their butts, which is fucking badass, admittedly, before we get to our healthy scoopful of Jesus.
Who can empty our grave and give us eternal life. Someone who has the power to conquer death and not only raise themselves from the dead, but everyone who trusts in him. That's the fourth part. But friends, here's another thing for us to consider in our irreducibly complex salvation plan. How do we get heaven when we are down here on earth? We need heaven to come down to us. We need this risen one to come back like a good.
That's why we need Cinnabon. Sponsored by Cinnabon.
That's why you need an extended warranty.
Find it at your airport today. Yes, why you need extended warranty.
It's his bride. We need this person to rescue us, to deal with all those who hate him and hate his words. We need this person to come and collect himself, a people for himself, and to bring us before the throne of God, where we will worship
the amount of this dude definitely has a stock footage package, because the amount we're now going through
he's on your package. Yeah,
I know. Once again, not hating. Don't hate the play, hate the game, but
Father and work for him in all of eternity. That is the fifth part.
Oh my goodness, he almost had a music video one right there. We're walking through fields. Can't help myself.
Now, here's the moment of truth. Who is this one? Who is the only one who can weave together this irreducibly complex salvation plan? It is none other.
Papa John's.
Bob Barker.
Bob Barker.
Than the Lord Jesus Christ, who died on a cross for wretched sinners like me, for a wretched sinner like you, who on the cross paid the price for our sins, took all of our debts in his body, who was then put in a tomb, but on the third day...
Why? That makes no sense. It's so mythical that it only makes sense within a mythical context. Now listen, I like mythic structure. I'm a big fan. I'm a Joseph Campbell fan. And that's because we use it in Hollywood. We use it in our stories. But when you take it literally, oh my goodness. That's not how...
She loves it.
Well, yeah, because the story, once again, of going out and getting things like fire, either from the gods or just discovering it in general, and then going through trials and then bringing it back and becoming a master of two worlds after having a big final confrontation. I mean, yeah, that's mythic structure, but it's such a mythical story that it's almost insulting that they still believe it. I get it though. And billions of people. Billions of people. That's what blows my mind.
Well, I mean, just imagine like if parents stopped telling their kids at some point that Santa wasn't real. Instead, they kept reinforcing it, right? So whenever the kids come up with like objections, like they modify it, they change the laws of physics, and they just keep making it possible. And eventually some of them would start to believe it.
Also, another thing that I was looking into was that the Jews did not want to write things down. They were kind of forced to write things down because they thought that the oral tradition was going to be destroyed. And so they finally created the written Torah and eventually the Talmud. And then you get more holy books. You eventually get the Bible, you get the Quran. However, there's an irony to me that because for whatever reason, religion looks at the older the better, unlike science, which is the more updated, the newer, the better.
The more pure, it's like, it's not tainted.
But and now I'm going to
the older the better.
The older the better. The Jews.
You were talking about them starting to write things down. They
wanted
to keep the oral.
Yes. Thank you. So the irony is just, James, I swear to you, I'm like a gnat at this point. But yes, it's just there's an irony that the fundamentalists who say that we have to follow things to a T because it was written in a book starts from a tradition where the oral tradition was looked at as, hate to say pure, but a more respected form than the written tradition.
Right. Like, we don't need those stinking books.
Because in the oral tradition, it could change also from, very subtly.
That's true. It can stay relevant subtly.
Yes. But let's finish up, and then we will have an open mic to see if anyone would like to come on, either agree with us, disagree with us, and send in so much love to everybody still hanging out with us and having fun. Keep on. I always bring up comments that just feed my ADD because I can't help it. But if you really want your comment to be shown as well, there you can either send in a super chat or tag us at James W or at Amy Newman. It helps us just actually see it. And all right, we're getting back into it. But I believe this theory is evil.
Rose from the dead. After raising himself back to life, he went and ascended, and now he is at the right hand of God.
Wait, James, I can't help it. I probably should have waited to ask this, but we're this far into it. Did he ever say why he thinks it's evil? Just because I guess it's taking us away from Jesus?
I don't think he really said why it's evil.
He why he
doesn't think it's real, but maybe he'll get to that in the end. I don't know.
Yeah. There's still 3 minutes. I'm sure he'll tell us.
One day he's coming back to collect for himself a people, a bride for himself that will worship him in spirit and in truth for all of eternity. There is none other than the man, Jesus Christ, who we must worship, and he alone can save us. But there is a final part to this irreducibly complex salvation plan, and it involves you. You yourself have to be a willing participant. As the old saying goes, God only helps those who want to help themselves. And if you don't want this salvation plan, well, God will not push it on you. No, God gently draws you.
Deal. All right. There you go.
So he's not a Calvinist, but there you go.
And James, that means we're not going to die in a hellfire. He's not going to make us suffer just because we choose not to be with him, right?
Well, right? No, actually, no. He does. He just hides that from you, so you don't know that it's actually for sure going to happen.
It is.
And then when you die, he's like, surprise, I'm real, haha, now you're gonna burn, as you're ascending down into hell, and he waves at you like, yeah, I'm the best hide and go seek champion ever. Remember that joke? Yeah, remember that joke? I am.
Burn, bitch. But it is like holding a gun to your head and being like,
right,
you want to give me your money, right?
Yeah.
And someone's saying, we had a choice.
You could choose to be shot, and then I'll take your money anyway, or you just give it to me voluntarily.
People to himself, but if you say no, he'll respect your wishes. So can I ask you a question?
He will? I love that. Just to gloss over.
So,
we're not going to talk about hell, huh?
So that would make sense. That would be like, a guy asking a girl to go out. Like, hey, do you want to go out with me? No? Well, then I'm going to kill you. I'm respecting your wishes. I will not force you to go out with me. I will just kill you. I will not force you to go out with me.
But you have a choice.
Respecting their wishes would be to then let them go and do what they want to do. So if that was the deal, if the line was, okay, you can come to heaven and worship me forever, you can do that. I want you to do that, but I won't force you. Or you could go out and do your own thing. Then that would be fair. That would be okay. The thing is, the Christians know that if that was the option, most of them wouldn't even want to go. If they had the option to do something else, to go out and do their own thing, they would not choose to sit there and be mindless robots praising God forever. Because they have nothing else to do. That's what they're programmed to do, even if they love it, because we kind of like having a sense of free will and sentience and consciousness. Like the idea of being made into a robot.
To an automaton.
Mindlessly praising God and loving every minute of it, loving it, because he makes us love it, but still not having the free will to make another choice.
What's up, pseudonym?
That perhaps you've never ever thought about. Do you actually want to be saved? Do you actually want your sins to be forgiven?
I don't believe.
Do you actually want to turn away from all these false gods that you've trusted in and now trust in the Lord Jesus Christ?
I don't believe
Do you
in any God.
Trust in any gods.
Because whether you want eternal life or not, you'll get it. You'll either get it.
Well, why is that? Why now? Because he's saying, the wages of sin is death. But no. Okay, yeah, no, you get eternal life no matter what. You're just be burning forever. Because they had to make that change.
Hey, James, do you want eternal life? Come on.
I don't know. Maybe I should ask my lawyer about it.
Why ask the lawyer?
Let me take the contract to my wife. We probably need to discuss this. This is a really big financial decision, and if she'll be really mad at me if I sign without running it by her.
It's true, but Yahweh offered me an offer to you, and he said, if you like to walk, you're going to accept it.
You want to run it by your wife? Well, let me tell you, the last time a guy listened to his wife and got thrown out of a fucking garden, let me tell you about that. That's why God said, you're in charge now. You wear the pants. She does what you say.
It always goes back to Applegate.
You lay it down, she pops out the babies. That's it. That's how it goes now.
Get it with the evil one for all of eternity in hell, or you'll get it with the Lord Jesus Christ for all of eternity.
Wait, that was real slick. Did you notice that? And he'll respect your wishes. Yeah. And now we're back in hell.
And torture you.
What happened to respect your wishes? Like, that's such a villain boss move. Like, you're not going to serve me?
You don't want to worship me?
Of course. No, that's fine. The exit's right through there. And there are alligators right the bottom.
Right in the water.
Yeah.
No, it's just like once again the Exodus when they got out of Egypt and they're walking through the desert. They're like, God, we ate the bitch, but we're kind of hungry. You send us out in the desert. There's no fucking food to eat out there. And God, he's just busy he's like, wait, I'm God. I don't have to eat. So I forgot that I got you guys out and you guys don't have any. Are you guys hungry? I'm so sorry. Are you guys hungry? Because I can whip up you guys a nice banquet. You'll have plenty to eat. It's no effort to me. I'm omnipotent. I can do whatever I want. But poof, there you go. Here's a big banquet. Would you like some quail? Do you like quail? Is that okay?
We love quail.
Oh, well, sit down, eat unlimited quail, all you can eat quail. Just the first people that bite it start to die, and the other people who haven't bitten yet start to look around like, yeah. Look what happened to them. They ate the quail. They're not alive anymore. Quit your bitching. I got you out of Egypt. Now you want me to fucking feed you guys? Who do you think I am? You think I'm just the waiter at your beck and call? Like it's my job to fucking do everything for you guys? What the hell?
I think they read that story at many weddings. I never heard it in my Hebrew school.
No. Yeah.
In heaven, oh my dear friends, whatever your thoughts are on evolution, this is
quail
not a
at the wedding
salvation issue.
banquet.
There is an issue
We
with your
believe
soul
in
and
it.
your sin, and that is no fairy tale. Whether you think all of these things in the Bible are fairy tales, your sin is not a fairy tale, and you need it dealing with right now.
Wait. Whether
Yeah.
you believe in this as a fairy tale or not, your sin is not a fairy tale. No, if we believe that the book is a fairy tale, that means the sinning is also a fairy tale.
And we're not saying that we've never done anything wrong. Here's the Ray Comfort. Have you ever stolen?
Yeah, no,
Have you
I
ever
know.
told a lie? Well, of course, everybody's done all those things, but it doesn't mean that we're perfect. It's just that we don't believe our actions have offended a God. If we've stolen something or that belonged to somebody else, we should try to make amends to that person if possible. Or we've been mean to other people. We should try to treat other people better.
And it's because we are using the theistic definition of sinning. I know that there is a secularized word of sinning. Colloquially, when someone says sinning, they just mean bad things. However, sinning in a theological context often means, because once again, we're just making it up, but it means to offend a God. We can't offend a God if a God does not exist. It doesn't matter if Jill and Becky are having snoo with each other and that offends a God.
Yeah. Really pisses them off.
If they are adults and consenting, God can go himself or ask to join. One or the other. Guess let's slide into it. He does like a teaser. He does like a
coming around to the very end.
Yeah, at the very end, he does something very weird, which is like I guess I'll just let him do it, but he's like
he's a rookie. Just let him do it. You can critique it afterwards.
Okay.
So please turn to God in faith and repentance and let him wash away all of your sins and give you eternal life and give you hope beyond the grave. Under normal circumstances, at this point in the video, I would address those who are saved. And I would say, if you're a Christian, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, yes, if you are...
You just did that. That's like me when I do it. I know I'm doing it. I'm sorry. I had to... It just bothered me because this is like a salesman pitch. Like, he doesn't actually... He is saying like and subscribe Christians, and then when he's about to say the next thing,
please do consider joining our Off the Curve family. But right now, there's something far more important than that. I believe there are still some atheists watching my video right now, and you're still unconvinced. You're saying to me, okay, Joe, you need to say that this world had a designer, and it was all created. But the big question needs to be asked: who created God? Then, well, if you want an answer to that question, you probably should check this out right away.
There you go. And I do have an obsession.
We'll check that right out there, sir.
Yes, but that was Off the Curb Ministries. I know you think I'm wrong. I believe this theory is evil. Which, of course, what theory is it hidden among that giant sentence? Evolution. Because that seems to trigger all of our creationist friends. I don't know why. It doesn't need to. the diversity of life is a fact. It's a theory, because a theory is a framework of facts. But just like gravity is a fact, and the germ theory of disease is a fact, like we use Purell, we kill germs, and we don't go, oh, this is just working in theory. No. But yes, let's also queue up. We're about to switch into the open mic portion, where you can tell us about all the wisdom that we just saw, atheist or theist, liberal or conservative, come as you are, just out of my bookshelf, please. There's real estate. Also, science doesn't care what you believe. What was I talking about? StreamYard, posting it, sending love. What is up, everyone in chat? Atheist, theist, how are you doing? And James, anything else to talk about before we open up?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it.
What's up, Robert? What is up, everybody? Come join our panel. That's okay, Randolph. And in fact, if no one joins in a little bit, we'll probably keep on ranting ourselves, and then we'll probably close out. However, we love you all.
Go for a few more minutes.
Time. And so, yeah, we are going to do the 3-minute critique. Like, I found the full version. It was so hard to find the full version of Donald Trump actually hawking the Bible, and so I found the full infomercial. I found a actual use for Fox News, and
you use the Slapshot guy, Vince.
No, it's 3 minutes of just him speaking directly. He's reading.
British guy.
I believe he's reading the prompter, and every once in a while he goes off the cuff. He says things that are clearly stupid. If you take them, for just at their worth. But whatever. We'll go over them, and I wouldn't go over it if it wasn't a purely religious thing. And I'm always worried that when the quote is, and I'm butchering it, but when fascism comes to America, it will be wearing a flag and holding a Bible, wearing a flag, something like that. And so this is like that perfect mix where it really is that.
Holding the Bible.
Yeah, holding the Bible. Do you know it's not just the Bible, right? It's the Bible.
Yeah.
It has like the Constitution, Declaration. Yeah. It has like song lyrics of like one of the religious Christian songs. And
I think it's Lee Greenwood, Proud to be an American.
But can I also point out what another talk show host pointed out? All of it is like, I'm sure there's a specific word when content is old enough so that it's free.
Public domain.
And so, yes, he's selling a public domain book. It's all stuff that's free. And so
copyrights are over.
Like it is it's like the perfect scam, and I still don't understand how they don't see it, because it is almost like it's almost like it has neon lights that say this is a scam. But whatever,
I mean, but religion has that almost by itself. I mean, look at the claims that they make. Like,
no, I know.
Hey, give us your money now. Unlimited returns after you're dead. You can't get it now, but after you're dead, we promise you will get all your money back 1 trillion times, infinite returns. Nobody's ever called back from the dead and said they were not happy with it.
And that is where the carrot and stick is, always after death. Where do the threats come from? After death. Both of those things, your paradise and your pain, only promised after, of course, we die.
I mean, well, I mean, of course, God can do things to you to punish you now, but I mean, it could also just be that bad things happen sometimes for no reasons. I mean, sometimes we do bad things and bad things happen because of that, but sometimes bad shit just happens.
Unfortunately, bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. Now we should work
There's
together
no
and
cosmic
try exactly
to
and
minimize
so,
that. Sure.
Yeah, that's the only thing we can do is come together and try to minimize that. Sending love to them. Totally understand. And we've also been ranting for 2 hours. So even if we quote unquote duck out early, it'll have been a lot of ranting. However, we always want to at least give the option that if there is someone out there that's like, my goodness, I really just need to vent or rant, then we at least give the community.
Well, let me tell these atheists what's going on. Let me do it. Oh, we found a rant.
Speaking of which, we found a sinister. We are going into the open mic. We are Skeptic and Ranting on I Believe This Theory is Evil. Woohoo! What's up, Sinister? All right. I would say we are going to put some 15, 20 minutes on the clock because we want to keep on welcoming and Sinister. It is awesome having you on board on our Skeptic and Ranting. I Believe This Theory is Evil. How are you and what are your thoughts?
Hi. And, well, all right. First of all, let's call him the inner 12-year-old because he really needs to learn how to pronounce BTUs properly. And I believe you think this theory is evil, but what theory was that? I do want to say bringing up Michael Behe was a bad example because in my home state, there was this trial you might have heard of called Kitzmiller versus Dover, where the tie clip example was spectacularly debunked by one of the people, the prosecution, the prosecution against the school board came in and wore the tie clip or wore a mousetrap missing a part as a tie clip. Even his drill example.
That was cool.
Even his drill example, if you remove all the eternal parts and leave only the case, it's still a perfectly functioning paperweight.
That's true.
Yeah, there's always other mechanisms that they oftentimes just don't think of. Like we were talking about how the bacterial flagellum could have been an injector site. It could have been something that was more offensive, and then now it is just a motor.
Well, I hope by saying his name it doesn't call his attention, but Feeling Free brought on a couple months ago. It's like, oh yeah, this has the properties of an OR gate. Yeah, you can use it as an OR gate, but that doesn't mean that was constructed as. It's like, and it's not even a motor.
Get the motor.
It's just a cellular construct. It was just drawn like a motor and they got excited about it. It's almost as if they don't understand analogies.
No, it's an outboard motor just like you would have on a boat. It's the same thing. It's an outboard motor.
Exact same thing.
50 trillion RPMs.
Is that even possible? Oh, right. These people don't care about what's possible.
It is if you believe it.
Hey, I'm not the type of engineer or an engineer. And my speakers just fell down.
Defy.
Well, I'm sure. I have to wonder, is spirit science and the oh, come on.
Send in so much love, Sinister. I like your chair, by the way. It was a fantastic chair.
Yeah, I got it off of Amazon.
Amazon's taking over. Let me tell you, I unfortunately still shop there after being in the Borg. I still have, unfortunately, augmented body parts from trying to leave. Every once in a while, I go.
The mechanical penis still work as function like normal?
Yes, but it has to be plugged in now.
Oh, okay. You just have to order a plug from them. Damn it! It's like you can never get it now. You got to order plugs for it.
That's true.
From them only. Only they sell it.
I mean, there got to be drawbacks leaving the hive mind.
Listen, they had great insurance.
The Borg? I bet they do. I mean, the Borg have universal basic health care. All the people's needs are met. They don't have money.
No unemployment, no poverty.
Yeah, but they clock when you pay. Besides that.
Well, Amy, have you looked into a Foley catheter? We can insert one in there and you won't have to pee all day. They'll just collect into this bag here.
That almost sounds like something they would say and sell.
Yeah.
We'll give it out for free though. So what's the why are you complaining?
We will get you a colostomy bag. We'll have the surgery done in the back, therefore you won't have to defecate either.
If you've ever wondered why your package looks like it was beat up and yet it still got sent to you, that's because they have a policy at Amazon that says that if the packaging, the item on the inside is not damaged, that you give it a okay and you pass it forward.
Glove does not fit, you must acquit.
Yes. But no, if something is like...
So even if the driver does an Ace Ventura on the package, if you remember the opening scene from Ace Ventura. Yeah. So even if it's like that, hey.
As long as it's bubble wrapped and the thing inside is all good, then it doesn't matter how ripped the packaging is. We should ship it and try and make money off it.
Still, though, it should still be fine in there, right?
Yes. So I have to go. Everything here is 15-foot inch. But I'll keep on saying, we'll still hang on. But creationists, come one, come all. Evolution is true, and creationism is not.
And honestly, if that person ever wants to come on and tell me how that insect spits out 500 boobs per minute.
Oh, let me tell you. I think that's someone's fetish somewhere. God damn it. I think it's a really cool bug. I know. You can make a living somewhere doing that. God damn it. I'm gonna get it's okay. I think the insect is really cool. It's just
being outdone by a bug disproves evolution. It's not embarrassing. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It is what it is. Hey, we can't be the best at everything.
Listen, elephants have their trunks. We have our fingers, our opposable thumbs. Some beetles shoot fire out of their butts. We all have our thing, James.
Yeah, the
purpose.
And I don't know why. The irreducible complexity argument is kind of silly anyway.
Yes, it is very silly.
Because I don't know how a giraffe evolved from less complex systems doesn't mean there's an explanation. Essentially, what you're doing there is a God of the gaps fallacy. Or not yeah.
Yep, you got to go with the snake. You got to go with the snake. That's it. It's the only viable answer. Go with the snake.
Well, I do love Python. So did Satan create Python?
Good language. Yes, Satan very specifically. No, Satan would not. we could take that a few different ways. Did Satan create Python because it is such a easy to use language and someone made a deal with the devil, or did
No, Amy,
Satan make a higher level language? We have to
what
write
happened
everything.
was, remember the people, they built the tall tower, and God didn't like the tall tower because people go to heaven without worship him. So God make all their language different, so they don't understand how to build tall tower anymore.
Yeah, the Tower of Babel makes no sense, and it's clearly a fable.
So that's where Python came from. He make all languages, even coding languages. God make it from Tower of Babel.
It makes sense.
And before that, we all spoke assembly language?
We all spoke C++ and or Java.
No. C++ and Java would have to come after.
And I am on the MDD Discord. I haven't been on there in a while, but I should go on there. I should go on all the Discords. I also, if you or anyone else out there, I am looking for a Discord admin. I'm gonna find a Discord admin somehow. I am gonna, if I'll look on Fiverr maybe.
Rentthediscordadmin.com.
Because I want to set up our server more like the politics and religion server. However, I want it to be more with, there's a lot of atheists and a lot of liberals and a lot of, they tend to be a very more right-leaning bent. And once again, if you're conservative, I'm perfectly, I'm up for breaking bread with everybody. But I want us to have our secular atheist Discord and have theists come on and debate us and have different types of ranks and all of that stuff.
Have you considered offering the job to Otangelo?
Well, you remember, Amy, what his
he did. He made
everybody an admin.
An admin.
He made everybody an admin. So
that works out well.
About 2 minutes to realize they all had admin powers and could fuck the server up.
Well, Discord kind of defaults to that on a new server. You have to change that. It's a bad way to default to things. But
luckily, I had people like MathPig and Titan help me out, but they are more MathPig is mobile, and Titan is more about policing. And so I need someone that is about creating ranks and things like that. If Titan wanted to do it, I would love him to. But I think that anyone who is looking for that, I know I do. Oh my goodness, I will. I won't give a shit. Who knows?
But we still love you, Ian.
I know. Sending so much love, Ian, and thanks for being you.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the same thing, James. They tell us not to do it, and we're being bad boys and bad girls because they tell us.
We can't help it.
We can't help it. But sending love to Robin, I see out there for Discord. Talk to Titan Uranus. See, does Titan like to create the ranks and stuff?
I don't know if he does that. I don't know.
I'll ask him, but I think he would always be like, talk to MathPig. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for someone who wants to create some fun stuff.
I could do it, but I'm too busy.
Hey, I understand. Though we're not. You know what? Why we're not going to be busy soon?
Summer.
2.5. Yeah, isn't that crazy? I've never had a summer.
The whole year just zoomed by.
Yo, it did. And I know there's a lot of talk shows that show like montages of like all the morning shows going. It went by so fast. Oh my goodness. It did though. It felt like it went fast.
Yeah, it was really weird the first time I got someone's like, "Hey, I remember you had graduated now."
Your first year as an elementary school, with a year under your full year as an elementary school teacher.
Yes, continuing to exist does take up a lot of time.
Listen, but it's a good hobby. I've always enjoyed it.
They say the time goes faster as you get older, and it's true.
And speaking of time, I'm now officially putting 5 minutes on the clock.
I thought P-Town was in chat.
P-Town, Sending love out there if you would like to join. And sending
haven't
love
seen him in
to
a
a
while.
skeptic.
He doesn't wait very long, I think. Sometimes.
Well, no, that's the problem. Is that the skeptics and the scientists and the science-minded people, they seem very patient. And yet it's the conspiracy theorists, and they seem to want to just run away.
Well, they didn't let me, like the call me skeptical. They'll come in the back for 2 minutes and then leave if we don't get them right on.
Hi, Athena.
Hi, Athena.
What do you have to say about the bug?
Yeah.
Apparently purr.
She's not deterred by the fart, the fire fart. She'll take care of it just fine.
Oh, cats probably would swipe right at the beetle, even with the fire fart.
I mean, you've seen the meme of the cat coming up to like the bald eagle, like, oh, it looked a lot smaller. It looked a lot smaller from down there once they actually get up close.
Listen, if Athena wants to eat insects, that's fine by me.
Oh, P10 has laryngitis, really? Oh, now I feel bad.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
we hope you feel better, P-Town.
Athena, am I not paying enough attention to you? Is that why you're right in front of the monitor?
That is a cat's hypothesis for everything.
Why are you talking to that screen and not me?
Could be petting me.
Yeah, I mean, Athena's welcome. Well, I personally don't kill spiders because of a Pennsylvania Dutch superstition, but...
See, I don't kill spiders because I feel bad. I think in my head, I say, you're killing 4.5 billion years. You're killing this long chain. It's lived its whole life and lives and lives.
But you don't even kill roaches. You will catch them and put them outside. Yeah,
I do. I don't. They're my roach friend. They are my brothers and sisters.
I mean, it is true if you think about it. Like, if you look back at every single one of your ancestors was a survivor that beat the odds. Like, even in those times where people were dying by the time they were 20 from bacterial infections that we treat now, but most people died. Having kids that lived was not guaranteed back at that time.
I'm sure I've heard a statistic like this.
I'm sure there are more than a few of us that would have died by now just because of our wisdom teeth.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Impacted wisdom teeth. Yeah.
Science in the medical industry. You don't get it.
Urinary tract infections that can spread. Yeah.
Hey, and how many people would die of like?
Is that an urban myth?
Is what a hype. Oh, we all eat 3 spiders every night.
All I know is that I know that.
Yeah, I've heard that's not true. Yeah.
Yes, but I do remember the joke where something along the lines of, people say you can eat 400 spiders every year, but that's not true. You can eat as many spiders as you want. Treat yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Dip them in chocolate. No, I love especially the ones that are furry. They at least look cute,
the
right?
Spiders?
Yeah.
I think it's just the fact that they don't taste good, because if they tasted good, Amy would be like...
well, no,
like the pigs.
Here's the thing. I am a hypocrite when it comes to that stuff. I should be a vegetarian. If I was not as spoiled, like I was raised, I love my parents. They've been fantastic. But when it comes to food, I'm terribly spoiled, and I should eat just salads or something. But once again, because pigs are very smart. They we think of them as dirty, or we used to think of them as dirty creatures because they roll around in mud. But mud is not poo. They do not roll around in poo. They roll around in mud because they do not have sweat glands, and yet they are highly intelligent creatures. They could control joysticks and beat us at video games, which I think is pretty incredible.
Which nonetheless, who's that doctor? Dr. Thompson I wonder if he made that video about how like lab-grown neurons could play Pong. Remember that? He said he was going to make a video about that, but I don't know if he ever did that. I have to check that out.
I can
You
create
debated him. You debated him with who's that? With Taylor, the turkey in the pot of water girl.
Oh my goodness, Taylor.
I'm not sure I want to know that story.
She said like evolution would be like saying you could put a dead turkey in a pot of water and expect a live turkey to come flying out. Because you put all the pieces that you need for life, you put it in water, and it just happens. Evolution.
That would give me a headache because I'm not even sure what I'm trying to think with that.
She's a intellectual heavyweight on the creationist side.
Indeed.
Well, I mean,
she is in a doctoral program, and I believe that was verified. So, yeah.
And not at Patriot Bible University?
No, I believe it was an accredited university, unfortunately. How? I don't know.
Well.
Slipped through the cracks.
In a field related to biology?
I believe an adjacent field, maybe not directly, but it was close enough to give you kind of a little pause.
The closest I've gotten to biology ever since taking the biology class back at the community college was trying to do stats on DNA FASTA files for an assignment, which I'm almost pretty certain had something to do with that professor's research.
DNA FASTA files, that sounds gay.
Well, it's
Homo sapien. Don't call me that.
That sounds gay. Oh yeah, they Homo sapien just piss off us creationists because they all want to be homos. The homos.
Final thing that I'll say, and then I'm gonna give it over to Sinister for we're gonna transition over to outros. But speaking of transition, did you see that they got very triggered? Not to date this episode again, but that Transgender Visibility Day just coincidentally happened to land on Easter. I thought that was very funny. And then the reaction, I also find very funny because Transgender Visibility Day doesn't change, and Easter does, which...
So they didn't change it just to make it on Easter. It just happened to be on Easter.
Yeah, it's Easter falls on variable days throughout. First of all, Easter is not a holiday based on the solar calendar, so it's not going to fall on the same day every year. It has to take place so many days after Passover, I think, by decree of some old pope.
Yeah, it's tied to the lunar calendar, because that's what apparently God uses.
Which is why it can vary between like March and April.
I guess one day when we get to heaven, we'll use the much more accurate lunar calendar.
We're about to have a moon.
Even the Catholic Church realized centuries ago was wrong. It wasn't very good.
So it is inevitable that it was eventually going to fall on Transgender Day of Visibility. It's like being upset that International Left-Handers Day falls on Friday the 13th.
Well, it's like Thanksgiving is the day changes, but like Christmas Day is always the 25th, whereas Thanksgiving is always a Thursday, but the date might change. But Christmas always the 25th, but it could be a Sunday, Monday, Friday, Saturday.
But on that note, because hey, it's a 2 a.m. here. Anyway, we've been going for a few hours. James probably has to get sleep. We are going to thank Sinister for joining our panel. She's going to start us off and end us with our outros. And then we are going to all send love with you. We have been Skeptic and Ranting on I Believe This Theory is Evil. Woo! Thank you for joining us. It's super, super evil. On this episode of Skeptic and Ranting, I believe this theory is evil. I hope you had fun. What you got going on? And of course, what are your final thoughts?
Jeez. It is looking forward to the eclipse coming up here in a little bit. We should be in the path of totality here.
Well, you get the total eclipse. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Partial down here.
I believe Purple has a panel coming up about autistic special interests tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern Time. If you want to check out my other channel, it's the Mad Computer Scientist. Go find that. I don't have the link right now, but I am also thinking just during the summer, if I can't find anything else to do, I'm going to start like doing a Faulty Logic Friday segment on the channel. And no, evolution is not evil. The only thing I think that is really evil that might be even related is giving timed math quizzes. Remember, everyone, be excellent to each other, and so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Woohoo! Thank you so very much, Sinister. If you want, and send me that link in chat, I'll also send it. And all right, thank you so much. Go check out. I put Purple's link to the stream in there. Sending so much love, Purple. And then we are going to hand it to our captain, James. We have. I didn't know which we were going to video we were going to go, but this guy won me over because, like, it's like an emotional pull. I know you think I'm wrong, but let me tell you, this theory is.
You picked a good one. You picked a good one. That it really stuck out.
Yeah.
No, it's not evil. He didn't even really do a good job explaining why. Just guess because it goes against his religion, so I guess that makes it evil. I don't know. I find the idea of eternal hell more evil. So, hey, he thinks science is evil. I think hell's evil. But anyway, guys, have a good night. We'll be back. We love you guys.
Give us Has-Been Hotel.
Yes, be excellent to each other, as Sinister says.
And all right. Thank you, James.
Athena, stop playing with the cord.
Bye, Athena. Listen, she's like, that's my cord. All right. So look forward to some more fun stuff upcoming. I know that I saw Randolph in there. We should all be checking out Randolph Richardson's stream. We should all be checking out all the fantastic. I know Sending Love, even though I know he's a theist. I saw Skylar Fiction doing a stream. I know that T-Jump, The Line, the ACA. Trying to think of more people to shout out. Ember. There's really a lot
Taco
that
Bell.
I could probably. Taco Bell. Taco's starting a channel. He may actually be interviewing me this Tuesday because I get off as a public agent for the end of Ramadan, and so that means that I may have the night off that I could actually interview.
War against Christianity,
yeah.
Maya Atkinson.
What's that?
Don't forget Maya.
Oh, is Maya sending love to Maya? You should check out. She does wonderful content. Send love to Maya. You should.
Oz, he does his DJ streams.
Check out Oz.
He does counter apologetics, like at the end of those streams sometimes. Like it was like 4 a.m. the other day, and he's doing TikTok counter apologetics. He's mopping the floor with guys on TikTok.
Oh, I should do.
They're not ready. They're not ready for Oz when Oz comes in there because he's gonna Socratize them exquisitely. The way he does, he's very good at the Socratic method. He's very good at breaking stuff down into simple terms. And, the flavor.
So yes, check out all of them. Check out Atheist Jr., Mark Reid. I'm running. I'm sure there are more. Check out Speed of Sound, Answers in Atheism. Check out Phil Talk. Check out
and Scoundrels.
Skeptics and Scoundrels. Go check out Eric. He's amazing.
Gutsick Gibbon.
Gutsick Gibbon. Gutsick. She is
always putting out great stuff.
Brilliant. Go check out Aaron Rock.
She has over 100,000 subscribers now. That is I remember when she was at like 6,000. Really? It was just like a couple years ago. She has blown up, and
that's awesome.
But she does just great content. It's, it's very focused, and she does a great job making it understandable to those of us who aren't scientists, who aren't primatologists like she is.
Well, Amy and I aren't technically scientists.
It is true. Computer scientists.
We're just mathematicians with expensive calculators.
Yeah. What's up, God? Sending so much love. All right.
A hard science. Amy,
James.
Hard science.
I was going to say, you have to make the science hard. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Probably. Okie dokie.
They do a good job at that. They make simple things as complex as possible. That's what they're good at.
Better than my joke about God giving the Hebrews a safe word when they crossed the desert.
Oh my. That sounds a bit naughty and just what we need. But okay. I want to thank all of you, misfits.
Peradventure, that was a safe word, right? Peradventure.
I love reading it in the Bible. The Peradventure. So we're going on.
Peradventure. Peradventure, we won't kill them. Or peradventure, we will kill them.
Or peradventure, we will. In this episode of Skeptic and Ranting, I believe this theory is evil. Even though he didn't explain why. Where we watched a video from the channel of Curb Your Ministries. No. Off the Curve Ministries. That would have been cool. Called, I Know You Think I'm Wrong. A little bit passive-aggressive. But I believe this theory is evil.
And you're wrong.
But you're wrong. For a good time, that was irreducibly complex. Though I do want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our panel, the wonderful Sinister Porpoise, as well as all the fantastic people in chat, our awesome mods who make this straight. I have enjoyed. Curve Your Enthusiasm's coming to an end, but it has been a lovely time. Richard Lewis died, unfortunately. Sending love to his family. And all of our awesome mods who make the stream so great, and of course lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If you enjoy the show, please YouTube, like, follow, subscribe, and set it. You can also hit that bell icon, and that's how you really get updates, because subscribing just says, okay, I'll add this onto my list of things, but the bell icon says and hit to all, says I actually want updates of this in my feed. If you've ever been like, why is that channel just fading off into the background? Well, hit that bell icon to all. Or hey, why not leave a comment once the video is done? You can also leave a super thanks.
Even a naughty comment.
Even, that's right. We won't bite unless you're into that kind of thing. You could leave a super thanks, and we're sending thanks to you. After the show, you can head on down, if you'd like, to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below, along with our fantastic channel members. Though the best way, with our evolving badge system, the best way to help make us even more content is by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I'm Amy Newman, James W. and Sinister. We're all wishing you a fantastic good night. Mwah.